Hello guys, welcome to Soul Fiction. So in this video, we will see the what if Naruto was reborn with Muzan Kibutsuji's demon blood. If you enjoy these kinds of stories, don't forget to show us some love by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Your support means the world to us. Now, let's dive into the story. Chapter 1 Rebirth of a Demon. Konoha the Night of the Nine Tails attack. Orange embers fluttered against a dark sky, trailing from fires that burned through Konoha's outskirts. The roars of the rampaging nine-tailed fox tore the night apart, shaking both the mighty walls of the Hidden Leaf and the hearts of its citizens. Ninja scrambled across rooftops, hurling themselves into impossible leaps to fend off the colossal beast. Amid this chaos, one isolated corridor within the hospital glowed faintly, nearly abandoned except for a few anxious silhouettes. Inside a cramped delivery room, Kushina Uzumaki, exhausted but unyielding, clung to consciousness. Beside her, Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage, hovered with anxiety weighing every breath. Outside, an ominous presence far more chilling than even the Kyuubi's raging chakra was taking root. Unseen, unfelt by all but a rare few, a single cry pierced the darkness. It belonged to a newborn Naruto Uzumaki, his small chest lifting in defiance of a world that would soon fear him. The Nine Tails roared in distant fury, as if it too sensed something new had been unleashed. Minato and Kushina exchanged a momentary look, love and desperation etched across their sweat-sheen faces. But in that instant, an eerie hush blanketed the room. The child's cries slowed, then stopped entirely. Minato's heart pounded. "Is he all right?" he murmured, voice trembling with concern. Ahmed Nin quickly checked the baby and nodded, though she looked spooked. "He's fine, Hokage-sama," she said, forcing a reassuring tone. Must be the shock. It's a stressful night." But Ethan flickered in Naruto's eyes, an uncanny red gleam that ebbed, then vanished almost as soon as it appeared. A spectral hush coursed through the air. Sarutobi Hiruzen, the third Hokage, who had T stepped inside with lines of worry deep on his brow, felt an inexplicable chill creep up his spine. "There's something else here," the third thought. "Something beyond the Nine Tails." His gaze settled on the newborn. The child felt like a vast, yawning void of chakra, and something more alien, far older. Outside, the Kyuubi's rampage reached a crescendo. The tragedy that would claim Minato and Kushina's lives was set in motion. They would sacrifice themselves to seal the Nine Tails into their son. Neither parent could sense the faint, otherworldly presence coiled in Naruto's blood, a lurking echo of a demon even older than the fox. And so, between that primal terror of the Nine Tails and the final gasps of the night's battle, Naruto Uzumaki was brought into this world, a child unknowingly touched by the legacy of Muzan Kibutsuji. Konoha years later, outside the academy, sunlight flooded the bustling grounds around the Ninja Academy. A group of fresh graduates and hopefuls were gathering near the training fields, exchanging energetic conversation about the upcoming genin tests. The air smelled of morning dew and lingering excitement. 12-year-old Naruto Uzumaki watched from a short distance, leaning casually against a tree trunk. He smirked. Unlike the boisterous, hyperactive persona that many imagined he had, there was something unsettlingly calm about him. He was tall for his age, posture relaxed, gaze sharp. Spiky blonde hair caught the sunlight, and a faint, nearly invisible swirl of red tinted the edges of his pupils, though few ever noticed. Naruto liked to arrive early. Gave him time to size up the competition, as it were. Sasuke Uchiha was there, silent and aloof, as usual. Sasuke's fan club squealed not far away, but one or two of them couldn't help shooting curious glances at Naruto. "Morning, Naruto," Ino Yamanaka trilled, practically pouncing from behind. She wore a wide grin and a confident stance, traits Naruto often found entertaining. "You're here early, planning something?" She stuck her tongue out in a playful tease. "Maybe," he replied smoothly. His voice carried a self-assured edge that made Ino blink. Usually, Naruto was known for being loud or brash, yet he often carried himself these days with an almost predatory coolness. "Then again," he added, "I just enjoy the morning air." Ino blushed faintly. She'd never noticed it before how Naruto's presence radiated a subtle magnetism. "Well," she said, trying to cover her reaction with a grin, "just don't steal Sasuke's spotlight, okay?" You'll break a lot of hearts. Naruto arched a brow. Sasuke's spotlight. Huh, he couldn't resist a low chuckle. If that's what they want. She rolled her eyes. You're awfully smug today. Naruto leaned in closer, voice dropping to a mischievous whisper. Think I could outshine him? Ino's cheeks flushed a bit more. She stuttered, why you never know, before flipping her ponytail over her shoulder and marching off to join Sakura in line. Naruto watched her go, a faint smirk lingering on his lips. What am I doing? He wondered to himself. A flicker of something primal stirred in his gut. It was a warm hunger that had begun surfacing in the last year or two. Not quite bloodlust though, that did occasionally throb in his veins, but a heightened sense of desire. He wanted things. Power, recognition, pleasure. He wanted it all, in a way that sometimes scared him. Dobi, came Sasuke's dismissive voice, snapping Naruto from his thoughts. The Uchiha had approached with an air of superiority. You dreaming again? Naruto turned slowly, cocking his head. Instead of a brash retort, he simply stared. 1 second, 2 seconds, until Sasuke shifted with discomfort. Naruto let a lazy grin stretch across his face. Morning, Uchiha, he said evenly. No further goading, just that smile, the quiet confidence that left Sasuke momentarily speechless. Sakura Haruno jogged over, bag in hand. Sasuke, Naruto, she said brightly. Come on, Iruka-sensei said we'll be starting soon. Then she paused, noticing the tension in the air. Everything, okay, fine, Naruto said. Let's go. He followed Sakura inside, not bothering to glance back at Sasuke, who stood there, fists clenched. Confusion swirling beneath his cool facade. When did that idiot become so calm, so intense? Sasuke wondered, annoyance rising at the thought. Academy classroom mid-morning. All right, everyone, Iruka-sensei called from the front. Form a line, we'll be reviewing your transformation jutsu one by one. This is the final stage before we officially assign the genin teams. A hush fell over the room as students complied. Naruto lounged at the back of the line, arms folded behind his head. He noticed how everyone seemed to keep a wary distance from him. A year ago, that distance was because Naruto was a prankster, or the so-called Kyuubi kid. But these days, it felt different. People sensed something else swirling around him. Near the chalkboard, Mizuki, Iruka's assistant, stood by with a scroll. He kept throwing sidelong glances at Naruto, a sneer forming on his lips. Mizuki had always looked at Naruto strangely. Today was no different. Sakura performed her transformation flawlessly into the third Hokage's image, earning cheers. Sasuke followed up with a similarly perfect transformation. The fan club erupted in squeals. Then came Naruto's turn. He stepped forward, ignoring the excited murmurs from the class. With a flick of his hands, a swirl of pale red chakra coalesced around him. It was faint, but for an instant, anyone tuned to chakra could sense something deeper, darker in that swirl. Poof! A moment later, Naruto stood revealed as Iruka's doppelganger, not even a hair out of place. It was so effortlessly done that it took the rest of the class a heartbeat to realize the demonstration was over. Usually Naruto was loud, flamboyant. But not this time. Iruka blinked. That was perfect, Naruto. Good job. Naruto returned to his normal form with a smug smile. Thanks, Iruka-sensei. He walked back to his seat and flopped down, ignoring the whispering that rippled through the students. He could hear them though. His senses were sharper these days, able to pick up even hushed voices. Was that a red aura just now? Or am I seeing things? What's up with Naruto? He's usually messing up or turning into a naked girl transformation. This is freaky. Sasuke, from a row ahead, glanced over his shoulder, eyebrows knitted. Naruto returned the gaze with a half-lidded shrug, as if to say, what can I say? I'm awesome. Outside the academy noon break, the midday sun beat down as groups of students scattered around the training grounds for lunch. The air hummed with excitement over team assignments that would be announced later. Naruto settled beneath a large oak tree. For lunch, he had a modest bento. He took a bite, eyes flickering to the side when he sensed a presence. Sakura approached, wearing a hesitant smile. Mind if I sit? She asked softly. He patted the ground next to him, scooting over to make space. Sure, why not? Sakura sat cross-legged, fiddling with her own lunch. Silence stretched for a few seconds. Usually, Naruto would chatter non-stop or make some silly pass at her, but this time, she found herself needing to break the silence. "So, you've changed a lot," she said, trying to sound casual. He looked at her with mild curiosity. "Change is good, right?" "Yeah, it is." She paused, stirring her chopsticks through her rice. "It's just, you used to be so loud, always yelling about being Hokage, or pulling pranks. Now you're kind of intimidating." Naruto smirked. "Is that a bad thing, Sakura?" She hesitated. "I'm not sure yet." He gave a low chuckle, leaning back against the tree trunk. "I'm still me, you know. I just realized there's more to life than begging for attention." Sakura nodded slowly, as if seeing him for the first time. A small flush colored her cheeks. He looked so self-assured, like he could handle the entire world on his shoulders without blinking. She found that strangely compelling. "I guess, well, good luck on the teams," she managed to say. "I wonder who we'll end up with." Naruto's gaze drifted across the grounds. He noticed Sasuke perched on a fence, a throng of admirers at a respectful distance, Ino among them. Yet every so often, Ino glanced toward Naruto, her expression curious. "Yeah," Naruto said, standing. "We'll find out soon enough." He shot Sakura a final wink before walking away, leaving her with a swirl of conflicting thoughts. He's so different now, but maybe that's not such a bad thing. Konoha Hospital rooftop later that day. Far from the academy's chatter, Sarutobi Hiruzen let out a slow breath as he stared at the village below, the sun tipping toward late afternoon. His old bones felt heavier every year, but right now, it was his mind weighed down by uncertainty. The events of that night Naruto's birth had never left him. He felt a presence. Turning, he found Kakashi Hatake standing a short distance away, nose buried in his usual orange book. When the Jonin saw the seriousness in the third Hokage's gaze, he slipped the book into his kunai pouch. "You wanted to see me, Lord Hokage?" Kakashi asked gently. Sarutobi nodded. "You'll be assigned a genin squad tomorrow. I believe it will include Naruto Uzumaki." Kakashi's single visible eye flickered with interest. "Naruto, the Nine Tails Jinchuriki, yes." The third hesitated before responding. "Yes, and more than that." He exhaled, gaze drifting out over the horizon. "I've been observing him. He's changed recently, grown calmer, stronger. I can't place my finger on it entirely, but it's not just the Kyuubi's influence." Kakashi frowned. "You suspect something else inside him?" Sarutobi didn't answer directly. "I'm not certain, but be vigilant. Watch him closely and guide him, Kakashi. Don't let him be consumed by the power he carries." Kakashi bowed his head in acknowledgement. "Understood." He departed, leaving the third Hokage alone with his worries. "Naruto, what are you becoming?" The old man wondered, the wind carrying the silent question off into the dying sunlight. Konoha Academy late afternoon. Team assignments. "Uruka-sensei, you can't be serious." Came a shrill cry from Sakura, who stood up so quickly her chair toppled over. She stared at the blackboard in shock. "Me, Naruto, and Sasuke." Naruto suppressed a low laugh. He found her outrage oddly adorable. Team 7. So it was official. A quick glance at Sasuke revealed a flash of annoyance in the Uchiha's dark eyes. Uruka gave them a tired smile. "Your assignment is final. Kakashi Hatake will be your Jonin sensei. Congratulations." In the back of the class, Ino huffed, arms folded. "Why couldn't Sakura and I be on the same team?" She lamented, then shot Naruto a glimmering look that she masked quickly. The rest of the teams were announced: Team 8 with Kurenai, Team 10 with Asuma, and so on. The excited chatter filled the room. But Naruto could feel eyes lingering on him. Some were curious, some uncertain. Sakura looked at Naruto, then at Sasuke, who was ignoring everyone as usual. A small part of her realized this might be the best combination for her growth. Yet the tension was already thick. "All right," Uruka said. "Team 7, you can meet your sensei tomorrow morning in classroom 3A. Training ground number 3 Twilight." Naruto often snuck away to the more secluded training fields after classes. He liked the quiet. Lately, it was more than simple preference: his blood demanded movement. If he stayed still for too long, An unexplainable hunger began to churn beneath his skin, pushing him to test his speed, his strength, his senses. Tonight, the sky was painted with streaks of red and orange, the wind carrying the scent of pine and faint smoke from the village. Naruto inhaled deeply, letting the swirl of new power simmer through him. He dropped to a crouch and sprang forward in a blur. His bod, wide glided between training posts with inhuman precision. He pivoted, exhaled, and conjured a swirling orb of chakra in his right hand, a half-formed technique reminiscent of the Rasengan. He didn't know where the idea for that jutsu came from. Sometimes it felt like fragments of knowledge surfaced from a hidden well inside him. Crash! The orb slammed into a wooden post, shattering it. Splinters erupted, scattering across the grass. Naruto stood there, chest heaving, eyes gleaming red in the fading light. He stared at his hand, letting the swirl of demonic chakra recede. More, he whispered to himself. I know there's more. Something about that destructive power felt too easy. As if a reservoir of savage energy lay just beneath his skin, begging to be unleashed. A swirling memory, no, more like a whisper, teased his mind. Devour them, a voice hissed in the back of his skull. He winced, pressing a palm to his temple. Not now. But the voice faded, leaving the night darker and still. Konoha streets later that night. Lanterns lit the narrow roads as villagers returned home. Naruto strolled through the market district, eyes surveying the bustle around him. Even now, he could sense a coin tension from older villagers who recognized him. Some parted ways, refusing to meet his gaze. Others whispered behind his back. He shrugged it off. They've done that my entire life. He continued on, stopping by a small roadside stand. A sweet, spicy aroma wafted from baskets of dango. Naruto found himself drawn to the scent, though it wasn't quite what his body craved. He had discovered, over time, that fresh blood, particularly from strong opponents, lit a spark deep within him. Yet he managed to tamp down the craving. He refused to let it rule him. He'd learned to control it, for now. He was about to buy a skewer when an agitated voice called out from behind a crate of vegetables. Get out of here, brat. I don't serve demons. Naruto paused, turning to see a scrawny shopkeeper glaring. The man had sweat beading on his forehead. A spark of fear gleamed in his eyes, as if he subconsciously recognized the inhuman aura Naruto exuded. Naruto's gaze hardened. His lips curled into a cold smile. What did you say? The man faltered. You heard me. I've heard stories. You're not normal. You're a monster. A flicker of red tinted Naruto's vision. For a moment, the demonic hunger coiled inside him, urging him to respond. To bear fangs that were sharper than any normal human's. He wanted to show the man exactly how monstrous he could be. But he didn't. Instead, he breathed out, letting the tension slip. He's afraid. That's all. I see. Naruto dropped a few coins on the counter, ignoring the man's protests, and grabbed a single stick of dango from the nearest tray. With an almost lazy air, he bit into it, turning away. It's not half bad, he remarked, voice carrying both a threat and a strange politeness. He walked off, leaving the shopkeeper trembling. Coward, Naruto thought, yet a distant part of him almost relished that fear. It made his blood sing. He clenched his jaw, forcing the hunger down again. No, I won't give in. Near the abandoned playground late night. It wasn't unusual for Naruto to wander at night. Sleep rarely came easy. Sometimes, he found a twisted peace in the deserted corners of the village places draped in silence and moonlight. Tonight, he ended up near an old playground. Broken swings creaking in the faint breeze. He sensed them before they arrived, 3 older teens, maybe small-time bullies or wannabe street toughs. They lingered in the shadows, half-drunk on stolen sake. Naruto recognized one from a previous run in someone who still held a grudge. Hey, the lead tough spat, stepping into the dim moonlight. You're that demon brat. We got a bone to pick with you. Naruto glanced at them, unamused. Seriously, go home, he said, voice low. I'm not in the mood. That only seemed to rile them up. One brandished a broken bottle, trembling more from adrenaline than skill. Shut up. You think we're afraid? You've caused nothing but trouble for this village. Time someone taught you a lesson. Naruto sighed. He stepped away from the playground's fence, letting the moonlight graze his features. Something about his stance relaxed, almost bored made the bullies hesitate. The one with the bottle lunged. Naruto moved before the guy even registered it. In a blur, Naruto caught the man's wrist, squeezed just enough to make the bottle drop. The teen howled in pain. "Stop," another shouted, rushing in with a wild punch. Naruto pivoted elegantly, letting the swing of the fist pass harmlessly by. Then he slammed a palm into the teen's chest, sending him sprawling to the dirt. The last one stepped back, fear flickering in his eyes. Monster." Naruto's lips twisted into a smirk. "That's what you keep calling me, right?" Something uncoiled within him like a serpent stirring. He felt a surge of Muzan's ancient malevolence, a whisper at the back of his mind. Let them see. For a moment, the desire to feed, to shred, to relish dominance flared. His teeth sharpened just enough that the moonlight glinted off them. The bully recoiled, stumbling over his own feet. Naruto's heart hammered. "Calm down," he ordered himself, taking a ragged breath. The swirl of demonic chakra flickered around him, a faint red aura that made the shadows quiver. He locked eyes with the terrified teen. "Leave," he said softly. The bullies scrambled away, dragging their injured friend. One shot a last, trembling look over his shoulder. Naruto stood alone, chest rising and falling with the lingering rush of near violence. A small trickle of blood from the man's cut wrist lingered on Naruto's fingertips. He stared at it. The heady scent reached him. So very tempting. He licked it off reflexively, his body shuddered as that metallic taste touched his tongue. Adrenaline spiked, and for an instant, he felt a surge of raw power. Then he clamped down on it. No, he spat the remnants out, forcing the predatory longing to subside. Naruto closed his eyes, controlling his breathing. "I won't become a monster." But as he stood alone under the moonlight, the playground's rusty swings squeaking in the wind, he couldn't deny how good it had felt, even if only for a second. Pav Sakura Haruno. The next morning, Sakura hurried through Konoha's streets, anxiety swirling in her stomach. Her alarm hadn't gone off, and now she was running late to meet her new team. Her mind spun over yesterday's events. Being teamed up with Sasuke was a dream come true. Except for Naruto's unnerving new presence. She recalled that moment at lunch, the way he'd spoken so calmly. Her cheeks heated at the memory. Why am I reacting like this? She wondered. Naruto used to be annoying, but now, she turned a corner and spotted the academy building up ahead, slipping inside. On the third floor, she found classroom 3A, the door slightly ajar. Sasuke was seated near the window, arms crossed, while Naruto slouched at a desk. Neither looked particularly surprised she was late. "Morning, Sakura," Naruto drawled, giving her that lazy grin that made her heart skip. She stammered, Hey." Trying to ignore the flutter in her chest, she glanced around. "Where's Kakashi-sensei?" "Not here yet," Sasuke said flatly. "We've been waiting forever." "He's late." Sakura exhaled, sinking into a seat. She studied Naruto from the corner of her eye. He seemed bored, maybe a hint of mild amusement dancing in his gaze. "He's always so sure of himself now," she thought. "Like nothing can touch him." Pav Naruto Team 7's first impression. An hour crawled by. Naruto tapped his fingers on the desk, ignoring Sasuke's brooding and Sakura's impatient sighs. Finally, the door slid open, revealing a masked Jonin with silver hair that stood upright in a curious manner. He peeked inside, scanning them with a single visible eye. He mused. "My first impression of you three, you're all kind of weird." Naruto smirked. He's not wrong. The Jonin introduced himself as Kakashi Hatake. He beckoned them to follow him up to the rooftop. Once they were assembled under the bright morning sun, Kakashi leaned casually against the railing. "All right," Kakashi said. "Let's get to know each other. Your likes, dislikes, dreams, that sort of thing." Sakura gave him a polite introduction. She liked reading, hanging out with friends. Disliked arrogance, and her dream was, she glanced sheepishly at Sasuke. "Well, that's private," she whispered. Sasuke's introduction was short and intense as usual. "My name is Sasuke Uchiha. I don't particularly like or dislike much, but I have an ambition to kill a certain man and restore my clan." Kakashi's eye flickered with recognition. "I see," he said. Then it was Naruto's turn. The tension grew. Kakashi's focus seemed sharper on him, as if remembering the third Hokage's words. Naruto shrugged. My name's Naruto Uzumaki. My likes. He paused, letting a small grin spread across his face. I like discovering new things about myself, pushing my limits. Also good food, good company, and maybe a little trouble. Sakura shot him a half-curious, half-wary look. I dislike people who judge me before they know me, Naruto continued. As for my dream, to become Hokage. He paused, then let his voice drop lower. Not because I want their respect, but because I want to shape this village into something better. Something that won't fear what they don't understand. Kakashi studied him for a long moment. Interesting. He tapped a finger on his masked chin. All right, tomorrow, we'll have a survival exercise to test your skills. Don't eat breakfast or you might throw up. With that cryptic warning, Kakashi dismissed them. Konoha afternoon, after team meeting. Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke spilled onto the streets. Sasuke muttered something about training alone and vanished in a flurry of speed. Sakura sighed, then turned to Naruto. So, what are you going to do? She asked, eyes flicking to the faint lines of his whisker marks. He stretched, letting out a yawn. Might train a bit, but I could use a distraction. Want to grab lunch? She blinked. But Kakashi-sensei said, he said not to eat tomorrow morning. Didn't say we can't eat now. Naruto's grin was mischievous. Sakura hesitated. The idea of a private lunch with Naruto would've seemed unthinkable just a couple of months ago. But here she was, heart skipping. Sure, why not? They found a small cafe off the main road. The place was cozy, with a few other shinobi milling around. Sakura ordered something light, while Naruto picked out a more substantial meal. Despite the rumor that he adored ramen, he seemed open to other cuisines. As they waited, she tried to look casual. Naruto, earlier you said you want to shape the village into something better. What do you mean by that? He toyed with his chopsticks, thoughtful. I guess I want a place where people don't have to fear power mine or anyone else's. Where we handle differences without scapegoating kids. You know how it is. We both grew up seeing how the village can be. Sakura bit her lip. She knew Naruto was shunned, though she'd never fully understood the reason beyond the Kyuubi. Yeah, I get it. I guess I never thought about it in that way. He shrugged, then changed the subject smoothly. But enough heavy stuff. What about you, Sakura? You aiming to surpass Sasuke? Her cheeks warmed. Well, it's not like that. She floundered for the right words. I just want to be a strong kunoichi, so people take me seriously. I want to be part of something important. Naruto's expression softened. Then we'll make it happen. She caught the intensity in his gaze and felt her pulse quicken. Why does he have to look at me like that? For a moment, time slowed, and a tension built between them. She abruptly cleared her throat, glancing away. Their food arrived, dispelling the moment. As they ate, Naruto cracked a few wry jokes that made her laugh. The confidence in his voice carried an undercurrent of kindness that reassured her, if only a little, that the Naruto she once knew was still in there. Have Sasuke Uchiha evening. Empty training field. Dusk crept across the sky, painting it with streaks of purple and orange. Sasuke stood in an abandoned clearing, kunai clenched in his fists. His breath came hard, sweat trickling down his temple. He'd been training relentlessly for hours. That dobi, Sasuke thought angrily, hurling a kunai at a tree. It lodged deep in the bark. What's with him? He's too calm, too strong. He still recalled the ease with which Naruto performed the transformation jutsu. The way Naruto's chakra felt, it made Sasuke's skin crawl. A monster, some might say. But Sasuke wasn't afraid. He was furious. If Naruto had this kind of power, and he, Sasuke, had yet to slay a single person from that night, I'm falling behind. Memories of the Uchiha clan's massacre surged in his mind. Sasuke's hand shook. I need power. Lightning flickered at his fingertips, an unrefined attempt at channeling his chakra. He snarled. Whatever you are, Naruto, I'll surpass you. Then I'll kill him. His kunai quivered as he yanked it free. The moon overhead cast a pale glow, the silent witness to Sasuke's growing obsession. Konoha late night, Naruto's apartment. The small one-room apartment was sparsely furnished. A bed, a desk, a wardrobe. Naruto dropped onto the mattress, his body thrumming with leftover energy from the day. The conversation with Sakura lingered in his mind. He smirked, recalling how she blushed at his casual remarks. His thoughts drifted to Ino, to her playful jabs, her confident grin. A flicker of curiosity stirred in him. What if I pushed that a bit? But that of thought quickly tangled with the deeper problem inside him. The swirling hunger that had nearly made him lose control last night with those bullies. He'd tasted blood again. Even now, the memory made his heartbeat quicken. He clenched his fists, forcing back the craving. If he let that side run wild, he wouldn't just be a monster in rumor, he'd become one in truth. No, he refused to let that happen. A faint ache pulsed behind his eyes, and he realized exhaustion was creeping in. Rest, he told himself. Tomorrow, Team 7's test with Kakashi. Another chance to push his limits. He closed his eyes, letting sleep wash over him. But somewhere in the depths of his mind, a presence stirred, a fragment of Muzan Kibutsuji's ancient essence. It whispered promises of grandeur, of dark supremacy. Even in his dreams, Naruto warred with that inherited demon inside. Training ground number 7 dawn. A rosy hue tinted the sky as Naruto arrived, ignoring Kakashi's "don't eat breakfast" warning. He had devoured a small meal hours before he needed the fuel. Sasuke was already there, arms crossed, looking tired yet alert. Sakura joined them soon after, yawning. They waited, and waited. The sun climbed higher, and Kakashi was nowhere to be seen. This guy, is he serious? Sakura muttered, exasperated. Sasuke grunted in agreement. Naruto just watched the nearby lake, a stillness in his gaze that betrayed no impatience. Finally, Kakashi appeared in a puff of smoke. Yo, he said with a sheepish wave. Sorry I'm late. A black cat crossed my path. Sakura glared. You've got to be kidding me. Kakashi didn't seem to notice her frustration. He set a small clock down on a stump, pointing to the time. We'll start the survival exercise. I have 2 bells here. He jingled them. Your job is to take these from me before noon. Those who fail, go back to the academy. Sakura's eyes widened. But there are 3 of us. Kakashi nodded. Exactly. At least one of you will fail. His tone was unnervingly casual. Naruto felt a ripple of anticipation. Let's see what you've got, Kakashi-sensei. Team 7 vs. Kakashi. Forest Edge. The morning air was cool and thick with the scent of damp earth. Kakashi explained the rules and then vanished into the trees with lightning speed. Sasuke took off in one direction, Sakura in another, leaving Naruto momentarily alone in the clearing. He inhaled, letting his heightened senses expand. The sounds of swaying branches, the soft pulse of wildlife, the faint rustle of Kakashi's movement. Gotcha. Naruto vanished in a blur, reappearing on a sturdy branch. Below him, Kakashi crept through the undergrowth, masked face scanning the area. A grin stretched Naruto's lips. He formed a quick hand seal, summoning 3 shadow clones. Even this jutsu felt easier for him than it did for most. The demon blood amplified his chakra reserves in ways no one else could fathom. The clones leapt down with a synchronized battle cry, converging on Kakashi. The Jonin blinked, eyes widening under his mask. Shadow clones. Huh, he muttered. Not bad. Kakashi dodged 2 clones, dispatching the third with a swift palm strike. Naruto watched from above, searching for an opening. Meanwhile, Sasuke lurked behind a nearby trunk, preparing his own ambush. Now, Naruto dropped silently behind Kakashi, delivering a swift kick aimed at the Jonin's lower back. Kakashi twisted at the last second, blocking with his forearm. But the force made him slide back a foot, surprise evident in his posture. Strong, Kakashi murmured. You've been training hard, Naruto. Naruto didn't respond verbally, he just pressed the offensive. His attacks were unrelenting, each blow aimed to test Kakashi's reflexes. He sensed Sasuke creeping closer. Good, he wanted to see how the Uchiha would act. At last, Sasuke dashed out of hiding, launching a flurry of shuriken. Kakashi acrobatically flipped away. In that moment, Naruto's instincts flared, he could read Kakashi's trajectory. He formed another clone overhead, the clone diving with a powerful punch. Kakashi barely managed to block, but the shockwave of impact cracked branches. Kakashi landed in a crouch, dust swirling around him. You guys are more coordinated than I expected. he admitted. But, in a flash, he held out a familiar orange book. I can still read while dealing with you. Sasuke scowled, hurling more shuriken. Naruto darted in, intending to snatch the bells in the confusion. But Kakashi sidestepped gracefully, hooking a leg around Naruto's ankle and toppling him. Naruto rolled to avoid a follow-up strike, flipping back to his feet. He's good. Naruto's blood pounded with excitement. The demon side of him craved the challenge, urging him to unleash more. But he held back. This was still just a test. Kakashi promptly disappeared into the undergrowth again, leaving them behind. Sasuke glanced at Naruto, frustration flashing. Don't get in my way, Dobi. Naruto barked a short laugh. Same to you, Uchiha. Unless you want to lose. They separated, each determined to find a way to corner Kakashi. Pav Sakura clearing by the river. Sakura's heart pounded as she clutched a kunai, scanning the area. Where are they? She lost sight of both Naruto and Sasuke in the initial chaos. Fear gnawed at her. Kakashi was a seasoned jonin. Anxious thoughts crowded her mind. What if I'm too weak? Then she recalled Naruto's words about shaping the village. About not being judged. Something in her chest tightened. I can do this. Yet even as she steeled herself, Kakashi emerged behind her, silent as a ghost. Boo, he said flatly. She whirled, eyes wide. Fumbling her kunai, Kakashi tapped her forehead gently in a mock scolding gesture, then vanished. The message was clear, too slow. Sakura cursed under her breath. I have to do better. Naruto and Sasuke versus Kakashi near a stream. Somehow, Naruto and Sasuke ended up converging on the same spot again. They crouched in the bushes, listening to the ripple of water. Sasuke gave Naruto a cold side eye. You sense him. Naruto closed his eyes, letting his demonic senses sharpen. The forest came alive in his head, each heartbeat resonating. Then he felt an almost imperceptible shift in the leaves overhead. Kakashi. He nodded at Sasuke, who sprang upward. Naruto followed suit. They met Kakashi in midair, the jonin brandishing a kunai. Sparks flew as steel clashed. Sasuke landed a kick that Kakashi blocked with a forearm. Naruto used the opening to slash at the bells. Kakashi jerked his wrist back, barely keeping them out of reach. You two working together, Kakashi mused, flipping backward to gain distance. This might get interesting. Naruto exhaled a dark chuckle. You haven't seen anything yet. Sasuke spared Naruto a quick glare but said nothing. He wove hand signs. Fire-style fireball jutsu. A blaze of flame roared from his mouth, scorching through the forest path. Kakashi leapt away right into the path of Naruto, who had circled around with a clone. The clone lunged, aiming for the bells. But Kakashi was no rookie. He twisted midair, hooking an arm around the clone's neck and dispelling it in a burst of chakra. Landing lightly, he turned to face them again. Naruto took a step forward, the hair on his arms rising with adrenaline. He could feel the demon side stirring, urging him to show more power. No, he told it. Not yet. Mid-fight break, Kakashi vanished once more, letting them chase shadows. Naruto and Sasuke ended up separated again, the tension high. Naruto paused near a wide oak tree, panting softly. He sniffed the air, a faint metallic tang. Sakura. He hurried in that direction. He found her slumped by a bush, panting from a genjutsu Kakashi had trapped her in. She seemed shaken, sweat beading on her forehead. Sakura. Naruto knelt next to her, placing a steadying hand on her shoulder. You good? She blinked up at him, relief flooding her features. Naruto. Yeah, I think so. Kakashi-sensei messed with my head. Let's go find Sasuke, Naruto said quickly. We'll tackle him together. Sakura gave a small nod, pushing herself to her feet. Teamwork, she realized. That's probably the key. The final clash clearing with the stump. They found Sasuke pinned neck deep in the earth, courtesy of Kakashi's infamous headhunter jutsu. Naruto acted at once. He formed several clones and rushed in. Kakashi deflected the first wave, but Sakura darted behind him, brandishing a kunai aimed at the bells. Kakashi sidestepped, raising a brow at her improved timing. Then Sasuke burst free from the ground in a shower of dirt, launching a kick that grazed Kakashi's ribs. The jonin grunted. Got him. As Kakashi was forced off balance, Naruto's real body appeared behind him silent as a phantom. In one swift move, Naruto's fingers closed around the bells. Jingle. Kakashi hopped back, eyes wide. Naruto stood there, bells in hand, a triumphant grin splitting his face. Sasuke and Sakura stared, half in shock. Kakashi took a moment to gather himself, then said, "You actually got them." Naruto tossed one bell to Sasuke and offered the other to Sakura. "Here." Sasuke's jaw tightened. "I didn't ask for your pity." Naruto rolled his eyes. "If at least two of us don't have bells, one automatically fails. Might as well be you that passes with me." Sakura tentatively accepted her bell. She looked at Kakashi, uncertain. "Does this mean we pass?" Kakashi studied them in silence for a moment. Then his gaze softened. "Yes," he said, "you passed the real test teamwork. Even though Naruto grabbed the bells, he shared them with you. That shows me you're willing to work together." Sasuke let out a short grunt, as if to say, "Fine." Naruto smirked. "So, we're officially Team 7, huh?" Kakashi gave a single nod. "Yes. From tomorrow on, we'll take on missions together." He paused, glancing at Naruto with thoughtful curiosity. "Naruto, that last maneuver was impressive. Where'd you learn to move like that?" Naruto shrugged, forcing a casual tone. "Just practice." He wouldn't admit the truth that raw demonic instincts guided his reflexes. Kakashi eyed him for a moment longer, then let it drop. "All right. Good work, all of you. Let's call it a day." Epilogue of Chapter 1. Sunset in Konoha. The sun sank behind the Hokage monument, casting long shadows across the village. Naruto parted ways with Sakura and Sasuke at the academy steps, a renewed sense of anticipation buzzing in his chest. He felt the day's battles thrumming in his veins, the demon's silent hiss whispering that it wanted more. But as he walked the dim streets, a breeze ruffled his hair, carrying faint hints of city life, cooking fires, distant laughter, the hush of settling dust. The familiar ache of isolation threatened to surface, but it was overshadowed by something else, a sense of possibility. He had teammates now. He had the power to protect those precious to him. He also had a hunger that refused to leave him in peace. He swallowed down the taste of blood that clung to his memory. Stealing himself. I'll control it. I'm still Naruto Uzumaki. High above, on a rooftop, Kakashi watched him go. The Jonin remembered the third Hokage's words, the warnings about Naruto's potential. He found himself both impressed and wary. "What are you hiding, Naruto?" Yet for now, the day's successes overshadowed the mysteries. The newly formed Team 7 had taken its first steps together, yet each carrying secrets and ambitions that would shape their future. In the quiet hush of twilight, the demon blood within Naruto pulsed, unyielding, forging a path that would soon shake the entire shinobi world. End of Chapter 1. Chapter 2. Beneath the surface. Morning. Konoha training grounds. The sun had barely crested the horizon when Team 7 gathered under the same trio of trees they'd met at the end of the bell test. A brisk wind rustled the branches overhead. Naruto, leaning against a trunk, seemed oddly at peace. Sakura tried to shake off her lingering drowsiness. Sasuke maintained his usual aloof posture, arms folded. Finally, Kakashi appeared in a puff of casual tardiness. He shut his ever-present orange book with a snap and regarded them with an easygoing stare. "Morning, everyone," he greeted. Sakura sighed. "Sensei, we've been waiting forever." "Ah," Kakashi replied, feigning surprise, "time sure flies. Anyway, we'll start with D-rank missions." Naruto stifled a groan. He'd heard about these so-called chores, disguised as missions: painting fences, walking dogs, weeding gardens. He craved real action. The demon blood in his veins practically itched for a more serious fight. Kakashi handed each of them a slip detailing their tasks for the day. "We'll meet by noon at the village's east gate to review." Dismissed. Sasuke lifted an eyebrow, obviously unimpressed. Naruto shrugged, tucking the slip into his pocket. "This is the path to become a shinobi," he told himself. "Besides, maybe I can slip in extra training." Late morning, Konoha streets. Naruto trudged down one of the quieter roads, a droll expression on his face. His first job of the day involved wrangling an old lady's missing cat. He wanted to protest, but he still remembered Kakashi's calm words, "This is how we evaluate teamwork and discipline." He hopped onto a fence, scanning the rooftops until he spotted a flash of fur. There, the cat huddled between two barrels behind a small shop. Naruto snickered. Gotcha. He dropped down, quickly cornering the animal. For a second, he allowed his demonic senses to sharpen. The cat's heartbeat thumped in his ears, every subtle motion magnified. With reflexes faster than any normal genin, Naruto snatched the cat before it could bolt. Murou! The cat hissed, biting at his arm. Naruto hardly felt it, his demonic healing and height. Ned Resilience shrugged off the scratch with ease. He gave the cat a deadpan look. Come on, can't you tell I'm trying to help you? The cat hissed again, but Naruto simply carried it back to the old lady's house. Once he handed it over, she frowned. You, demon boy, she mumbled, half under her breath. A flicker of annoyance stirred in him. His eyes glinted red for a half second, but he let it pass, forcing a casual grin. Yeah, he murmured, enjoy your cat. He turned and walked off before she could say anything else. Deep down, that old anger simmered. Demon boy, even if he used this power for the village, some people would never see him as anything but a monster. But as he strolled down the next street, that frustration gave way to anticipation. He was supposed to meet up with Team 7 soon. And after that, maybe they'd do something more interesting. Noon, Konoha's East Gate. Sakura arrived first, still wiping dirt from her gloves. Why'd all these missions involve so much weeding? She grumbled. Feels like every old person in the village wants help with their lawn. Sasuke showed up moments later with a scowl, apparently fresh from chasing a runaway dog. He smelled faintly of wet fur. Sakura pinched her nose but said nothing. Then Naruto sauntered in, hands in his pockets, looking irritatingly relaxed. Sasuke rolled his eyes, but Sakura couldn't help noticing Naruto's self-assurance. He wore it like a second skin. Kakashi stood against a gate post, reading his book. Without glancing up, he said, "You're all here. Good. Let's see if you learned anything." Sakura grimaced. From D-rank chores, Kakashi closed his book. Patience, awareness, discipline. All crucial traits for a shinobi. He stuffed the novel in his pouch. But if you insist on more advanced missions, we can discuss it with the Hokage this afternoon. Naruto's eyes lit up, ignoring the demon's quiet hum within. Finally, Sasuke didn't speak, but his posture straightened, clearly in favor of something more exciting. Hokage's office early afternoon. Behind a desk piled high with scrolls, Sarutobi Hiruzen considered the newly arrived Team 7. Iruka stood near the corner, arching a concerned brow. Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke lined up while Kakashi reported. So you want a higher-level mission? The third Hokage said thoughtfully, stroking his pipe. You've only completed a handful of D-rank tasks. Are you sure you're ready? Naruto stepped forward, voice full of conviction. Yes, Lord Hokage, we can handle something bigger. Before Sarutobi could respond, the office door slid open, and an older man with a scruffy beard stomped in. He had the faint smell of alcohol and a large bottle slung at his side. A sense of exasperation clung to him. So these brats are supposed to protect me? The man complained. They look weak. Quote. Kakashi's eye crinkled in mild amusement. Tazuna, I presume. The man gave a derisive snort. I'm Tazuna, master bridge builder. I need an escort to the land of waves while I finish building my bridge. Sakura looked uncertain, but Naruto bristled at the insult. Hey, old man, we're not weak. Tazuna eyed Naruto's whisker marks, a flicker of uneasy curiosity there. But he said nothing further about it. He turned to the Hokage. Are you sure about these kids? Sarutobi exhaled a thin cloud of smoke. Team 7 is led by one of our finest jonin, Hitaki Kakashi. You'll be in safe hands. That seemed to soothe Tazuna slightly. He grumbled something about tight budgets, then turned to leave. The Hokage gave Kakashi a measured look. Be careful out there. Kakashi nodded. Understood. He guided the team outside, Tazuna trailing. Just before Naruto slipped through the door, Sarutobi called his name. Quietly, the old Hokage said, Naruto, watch yourself. Not every battle is about strength alone. Naruto caught a hint of warning in the Hokage's eyes. A memory surfaced of that unsettled feeling from the bell test, like the third could sense something deeper inside him. Naruto forced a respectful nod and hurried after his team, ignoring the uneasy flutter in his gut. North Gate, departing Konoha late afternoon. The group gathered at the village outskirts. Chizuna carried a pack stuffed with gear. Kakashi carried his usual laid-back air, though Naruto sensed the Jonin was on high alert behind that mask. Sakura eyed the road ahead. So how far is the land of waves? 2 days. Maybe 3, Chizuna said gruffly. Depending on how fast you brats can move. Naruto gave a cool grin. We'll move as fast as we need to. Sasuke shot him a brief side glance. Despite the tension between them, there was also a silent agreement they both craved a real challenge. Kakashi cleared his throat. All right, let's go. As they set off, Naruto felt a surge of excitement. AC rank mission, he mused. Finally, some real action. The demon blood in his veins pulsed, as if responding to that anticipation. Road to the land of waves evening. The journey began peacefully enough, with rolling fields on one side and a broad river on the other. Twilight settled in, painting the horizon with a violet hue. Kakashi decided they would press on until nightfall, then camp near a cluster of old ruins by the roadside. They made good time, conversation minimal. Chizuna mostly muttered about bandits or the progress of his bridge. Sasuke kept scanning the surroundings, hungry for any sign of danger. Sakura forced herself to stay focused, determined not to be the weak link. Naruto, for his part, couldn't shake a strange sense of tension in the air like the calm before a storm. Every so often, his heightened senses detected a faint chakra presence. He'd glance around, but nothing obvious revealed itself. Darkness fell. They set up tents near the crumbling remnants of a stone outpost. Kakashi assigned watch rotations. First watch Naruto, Kakashi announced, settling himself against a broken wall, book in hand. Wake Sasuke in 2 hours. Naruto nodded. Got it. Sakura crawled into her tent. Chizuna took one last swig from his bottle before snoring in his own makeshift shelter. Sasuke leaned against his pack, eyes drifting shut, though Naruto doubted he was truly asleep. Pav Naruto first watch. A near full moon hung overhead, casting silver light across the ruins. Naruto perched on a chunk of fallen masonry, scanning the surrounding fields. Each rustle of grass or chirp of insects felt amplified by his demon blood. An hour passed in relative silence. Then, from the corner of his eye, Naruto caught a flicker of motion. He tensed, heart pounding. His eyes narrowed, trying to distinguish shapes in the darkness. Nothing but swaying weeds. Maybe I'm imagining things, he thought, though his instincts screamed otherwise. Whatever's out there, I'll be ready. But no threat emerged, and eventually he relaxed, letting his mind drift. Thoughts of Konoha, of how people looked at him. A faint memory of the old woman's sneer, demon boy. The anger rose again, swirling in his chest. Why should I care about their opinions? He tried telling himself, I have the power to protect what I care about. Yet he couldn't deny the lonely sting that came from their scorn. Even so, there were those who saw him differently. A fleeting image of Ino flashed in his mind, her blue eyes sparkling with curiosity, that confident smirk of hers. He recalled her brief teasing. The almost challenge she gave him at the academy. He'd never really pursued it, but the idea was enticing. A quiet hush fell, broken only by a gentle breeze rustling the grass. He inhaled, catching scents of damp earth and wildflowers. No sign of intruders. Time to swap with Sasuke. Campfires glow an hour later. Sasuke had taken over watch, brooding in silence near the embers of a small fire. Naruto stretched out in his sleeping roll, arms folded behind his head. Sleep didn't come easily, not with the demon blood thrumming. He forced his eyes shut, drifting in and out of half-formed dreams. Memories of the bullies in the playground, the taste of their blood on his tongue, the rush of demonic power. A part of him wanted to lose himself in that strength, but another part feared what he might become. Devour, a voice whispered in his mind, faint yet insistent. He jolted awake, sweat beating on his temple. His heart hammered. Stay in control. Outside, the camp was calm. No immediate threat, he told himself. Forcing his breathing to steady, he tried to settle again, though that uneasy voice still echoed in the back of his thoughts. Roadside. Next morning, dawn arrived with a light fog rolling off the river. Kakashi roused them, and soon they were marching onward. Tazuna seemed relieved they'd had a quiet night. But as they passed a shallow puddle in the middle of the dusty road, Naruto's heightened senses flared. Something about that puddle felt off. The day was too dry, the terrain too elevated. Why would water pool here? He slowed his pace, eyes flicking warily. Beside him, Sasuke also seemed alert. They exchanged the barest nod, acknowledging the subtle threat. Kakashi walked ahead with an outwardly relaxed gait, but Naruto suspected the Jonin had noticed the same anomaly. Suddenly, two figures erupted from the puddle in a swirling lash of chains, the demon brothers, clad in mist headbands. They surged straight for Kakashi, spiked gauntlets gleaming. Everything happened in a heartbeat. Naruto spun, about to lunge, but Sasuke was even quicker, hurling a kunai that forced one ninja to duck. Kakashi vanished, replaced by a log substitution jutsu, leaving the two attackers flailing. Clang! Chains whipped dangerously close to Tazuna, but Naruto interposed himself. A quick slash with his kunai severed part of the chain. The nearest demon brother recoiled in surprise. Naruto's eyes gleamed. Finally, real combat. The second attacker tried to slip past to get at Tazuna. Sasuke blocked him, engaging in a fast exchange of blows. Meanwhile, the first attacker advanced on Naruto with a savage grin. Chain spinning. Ha of Naruto. He felt the demon's power coil in his gut, adrenaline spiking. I won't let you near our client, Naruto said, voice low. In a fluid motion, he lunged. The chain rattled across the ground, aiming to ensnare him, but Naruto's speed blurred. He ducked under the chain, then rammed a punch into the ninja's gut. A sickening crack echoed. The mist ninja coughed, staggering back. Naruto's blow had more force than any normal genin. Fear flickered in the ninja's eyes. What? Are you? Naruto smirked, ignoring the faint hunger that flared at the scent of blood. Someone you shouldn't mess with. He capitalized on the attacker's disorientation, snatching the chain and yanking him off balance. The mist ninja crashed to the ground with a pained cry. Meanwhile, Sasuke finished subduing the second assailant, pinning him against a tree. Kakashi reappeared, having observed from a short distance, apparently testing his genin's reactions. Satisfied, Kakashi flicked his fingers toward the demon brothers. You made a mistake picking this team. The enemies, battered, realized the fight was lost. They exchanged a frantic look before passing out from their injuries. Sakura hurried to Tazuna, checking him for wounds. He's okay, she reported, relief evident in her tone. Kakashi's eye curved into a smile. Good job, all of you. Then his gaze sharpened on Tazuna. But I have a question. Why are there Chunin-level ninja from the mist after you? Tazuna swallowed, the color draining from his face. Forest clearing, post-battle. They drag the unconscious demon brothers off the road. Kakashi secured them against a tree, binding their wrists with ninja wire. Sasuke stood guard, while Sakura kept a watchful eye on Tazuna. Naruto found himself pacing. The fight had roused his demonic instincts. His heart still pounded with leftover excitement. He forced the feeling down, carefully controlling his breathing. Kakashi approached Tazuna. This was supposed to be AC rank mission bandits at most. But these ninjas are clearly after you. Care to explain? Tazuna fidgeted, eyes darting. I didn't have the money for AB rank or higher mission. I lied, he admitted. A wealthy shipping magnate named Gato wants me dead because my bridge will break his monopoly over the land of waves. Sakura's eyes widened. You lied. We could have been killed. Tazuna bowed his head, shame coloring his features. I'm sorry, but my country is poor. We're desperate. If I don't finish that bridge, the people of the land of waves will remain under Gato's thumb. A heavy silence settled over the group. Kakashi glanced at his team. We can either abandon the mission now, or we continue knowing it's much riskier than advertised. It's your choice. Naruto's response was immediate. Abandon. No way. We're finishing this. He felt a surge of fierce protectiveness. He knew what it was like to be cast aside by a village that feared him. He wasn't about to do that to Tazuna's people. Sasuke shrugged, trying to hide his own interest in facing stronger foes. I'm not running from a real challenge. Sakura let out a slow breath. It's dangerous, but I don't want to be the one who gives up. I'm in. Kakashi nodded, some pride showing in his gaze. Then we continue. Tazuna's gratitude was evident in his trembling voice. Thank you. I won't forget this. Arrival at the dock late afternoon. They traveled the rest of the day without further incident, reaching a small dock at the edge of the Fire Country. A rickety boat awaited them, manned by a nerve-house ferryman who said little beyond hushed greetings. Tizuna explained they'd travel by boat under the cover of mist to avoid Gato's patrols. Kakashi agreed, instructing the team to stay low. They boarded quietly. The ferryman rowed them across the wide channel. A dense fog rolled in, swallowing everything. The hush was almost eerie. Naruto peered into the swirling mist. His demon-enhanced senses picked up faint lapping waves. Distant sea birds. He felt uneasy, like eyes were on them. But the journey remained calm. Eventually, they reached the other side, slipping onto a hidden pier. The ferryman gave them a tight nod, then hastily turned back to avoid detection. Land of waves, coastline. Thick forest lined the shore, with a narrow path winding inland. As they walked, Tizuna spoke in hushed tones about his village. About how Gato's men extorted the townspeople and controlled shipping. Naruto's fists clenched. Is this how the world works? People bullying the weak at every turn. Up ahead, Kakashi paused, raising a hand for silence. An eerie stillness blanketed the path. A sign of danger, perhaps. Suddenly, a lethal whistle cut through the air. A massive sword spun end over end, embedding itself in a tree trunk inches from Kakashi's face. Everyone froze. Then a tall figure landed lightly on the sword's hilt, balancing effortlessly. He wore bandages around the lower half of his face, and a mist headband slashed through the insignia. His eyes gleamed with cold malice. Zabuza Momochi, Kakashi murmured. He gestured for the genin to stay back. Stay on guard. He's in a different league than the Demon Brothers. A smirk tugged at Zabuza's lips. Well, Sharingan Kakashi, I've been hired to kill the old man. Hand him over, and I won't have to spill your blood. Naruto felt a thrill of anticipation mingled with dread. Zabuza's aura was monstrous, he could sense it. The demon inside him practically growled in response, craving the fight. He heard Kakashi speak calmly, we won't let that happen. Then the Jonin lifted his headband, revealing the Sharingan in his left eye. Sakura stepped protectively in front of Tizuna, while Sasuke tensed, ready to spring. Naruto crouched, every sense ablaze. He noticed Zabuza's aura had a certain savage edge. This guy's a real killer. Get back, Kakashi said firmly. This is not an opponent you can handle at your current level. Naruto bristled. Part of him wanted to prove otherwise, but even he recognized that Zabuza's lethal presence was no joke. Zabuza chuckled. Let's see how long you last, copy ninja. Kakashi vs. Zabuza the lake. Zabuza leapt backward, landing on the surface of a mist-shrouded lake. Kakashi followed, feet skimming across the water with impeccable chakra control. In the thickening fog, the two Jonin engaged in a whirlwind of lethal exchanges, water clones, powerful jutsu, and the flash of steel. Team 7 stood on the shore, watching intently. They could see only glimpses, shadows and splashes in the mist. What do we do? Sakura whispered, tension high. Naruto clenched his jaw. We wait for a chance. If Kakashi-sensei needs us, we jump in. Suddenly, the battle took a dangerous turn. Zabuza trapped Kakashi in a water prison jutsu, leaving the copy ninja immobilized in a spherical prison of swirling water. A water clone of Zabuza stalked toward the shore, sword raised. Now, I'll kill the old man, Zabuza's clone sneered. Lethal intent radiating. Naruto's instincts screamed. He shot forward, ignoring the voice in his head that told him to be cautious. Sasuke followed suit, weaving hand signs for a fireball jutsu. But the clone simply slipped aside, the flames vanishing into the mist. Clang! Zabuza's massive blade slammed down, forcing Naruto to dive away at the last second. He rolled across wet grass, knees slamming into mud. He looked up. Sasuke was trying to pressure the clone from the other side. Sakura stood protectively over Tizuna, kunai at the ready, though fear shone in her eyes. We're outmatched, Naruto realized grimly, yet he could feel the demonic power stirring, an almost feral desire to dominate. If I unleash more, he grit his teeth. No, not yet, but desperation crept in. If Kakashi-sensei stayed trapped, they'd lose. Naruto had to do something. Naruto breaking the prison. Naruto locked eyes with Sasuke, silently communicating a plan. Create an opening. Sasuke nodded, launching a barrage of shuriken at Zabuza's clone. As expected, the clone deflected them, but one shuriken was actually a transformed Naruto in disguise. In midair, Naruto returned to his normal form and flung a kunai at the real Zabuza, aiming for the arm controlling the water prison. The rogue ninja twitched at the sudden threat, shifting his hold slightly. It was enough. Kakashi seized the moment to break free. Water splashing everywhere. Zabuza snarled, his clone dissolving. Now free, Kakashi exhaled slowly, the Sharingan spinning. Good job, he praised, though his voice remained taut with focus. Now leave the rest to me. Kakashi's counterattack. Freed from the prison, Kakashi wasted no time. He copied Zabuza's hand seals in real time, unleashing a water dragon jutsu that exploded across the lake. Zabuza retaliated, but Kakashi preempted every move, effectively reading his opponent's mind through the Sharingan's predictive abilities. In a final clash, Kakashi's lightning G-fast water technique crashed into Zabuza, sending the rogue ninja hurtling into a nearby tree. Blood dribbled down Zabuza's chin. Before Kakashi could finish the job, Tsusenbon needles hissed through the air, piercing Zabuza's neck. He slumped to the ground, lifeless. A masked figure appeared, Haku wearing a hunter nin mask from the hidden mist. Thank you for weakening Zabuza. I've been tracking him for some time. The figure said softly, retrieving the body. Kakashi's eye narrowed, suspicion lurking behind the Sharingan's red iris. A mist hunter nin. The figure bowed. I must dispose of the corpse. Without further ceremony, they vanished in a blur, taking Zabuza's body. Naruto watched, baffled. Everything happened so fast. Is that it? Zabuza's dead. Kakashi lowered his headband over the Sharingan, exhaling in relief. Everyone okay? Sakura nodded shakily, still clutching Tazuna. Sasuke wiped sweat from his brow, frustration gnawing at him. Naruto stood silent, his heart pounding. Let's move, Kakashi said. Voice weary. But be on guard. Something about that hunter nin felt off. Tazuna's house. Nightfall. They eventually reached Tazuna's village, crossing half-finished bridges and rundown streets. Tired and soaked from the mist, they took shelter in Tazuna's modest home. His daughter, Tsunami, greeted them with warm food and hesitant smiles. Kakashi, exhausted from using the Sharingan so intensely, collapsed onto a futon. I need rest, he murmured. Keep watch, you three. Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke settled around the small fireplace, the light dancing on their features. Tsunami offered them hot tea. Tazuna vanished to check on some bridge papers. In the flickering glow, they exchanged grim looks. That fight with Zabuza had been real. If Kakashi hadn't been there, they might not have survived. Sakura sipped her tea, her gaze distant. I realized how unprepared I am. Sasuke's knuckles tightened on his cup. He didn't speak, but Naruto felt the turmoil rolling off him. Naruto set his tea down. We'll get stronger. We have to. Sakura glanced at him. The lines of worry in her face softened. She seemed grateful for his confidence, even if it carried a slightly unnerving edge. Yeah. A tense silence followed. Naruto let his thoughts drift to the demon's power within. Part of him had wanted to unleash more of it in the battle. But that was dangerous. He didn't even fully understand the Kyuubi, let alone the monstrous Muzan Echo. One step at a time, he told himself. Sakura. Late night. Unable to sleep, Sakura wandered the house, eventually finding herself on a small balcony overlooking the moonlit water. To her surprise, Naruto was already there, leaning on the railing, gaze lost in the distance. She stood beside him, hugging her arms. Couldn't sleep. He gave a small nod. Too much on my mind. Silence settled. The moon glowed overhead, reflected on the dark, rippling sea. After a moment, Sakura mustered the courage to ask something that had been tugging at her thoughts. Naruto, where did you learn to fight like that? You move differently now, like you see everything happening before it does. He glanced at her. I train a lot, he said simply. Then, at her skeptical look, he added, I guess I have a knack for it. My senses are sharper. Sakura thought about it. It's a good thing. We need every advantage if we're going to survive out here. She paused, looking down at her hands. I feel like a liability. Sasuke and you do most of the fighting. A rare softness touched Naruto's gaze. He reached out, gently tilting her chin up. You did your part. Keeping Tazuna safe was crucial. And your genjutsu knowledge could be a game changer when you decide to use it. Her cheeks warmed at his touch. This was so unlike the old Naruto who pestered her for attention. Here he was, quietly confident, offering reassurance in a tone that sent a flutter through her stomach. Thanks, she murmured, meeting his eyes. For a moment, neither moved. Sakura's heartbeat pounded, an inexplicable tension forming between them under the moon's glow. Naruto's eyes held an intensity that made her breath catch something beyond ordinary teenage boldness. A predatory edge that both frightened and excited her. He leaned in, close enough that she could sense the warmth of his breath. Her mind raced, nerves tangling. Is he really going to? A sudden voice broke the moment. Sakura, Naruto, came Tazuna's call from inside, laced with worry. Can one of you help me with some supplies? They sprang apart, cheeks flushed. Sakura cleared her throat. See coming. Naruto gave her an unreadable glance, then turned to follow Tazuna. The tension lingered in the air like a faint echo, leaving Sakura's heart pounding. Next day, Tazuna's bridge morning. Kakashi decided they'd accompany Tazuna to the construction site. Though the Jonin still looked fatigued, he insisted he could fight if necessary. Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura stayed on high alert, scanning every shadow for a potential ambush. The bridge stood halfway completed, stretching across a vast expanse of water. Workers carried lumber and tools, forging onward despite the ever-present threat from Gato's men. The sight of their resilience stirred something in Naruto's chest. No one's going to take advantage of these people while I'm here, he vowed. Kakashi turned to his team. Stay close to Tazuna. If Zabuza's still alive, Sakura blanched. But that hunter nin didn't they? Kakashi's expression darkened. A real mist hunter nin would dispose of the body on the spot. To ensure the ninja's secrets die with them. Taking Zabuza's body elsewhere is suspicious. Naruto clenched his fists. Then we might have to fight him again. Sasuke smirked, though his eyes shone with cold determination. Good. I won't lose so easily this time. Haku's appearance. Later that day, while Tazuna inspected the far end of the bridge, Naruto wandered along the scaffolding, drawn by the crisp sea breeze. He caught sight of a slender figure kneeling near some supplies. They wore civilian clothes, but something about them felt off. He approached cautiously. The figure glanced up, revealing delicate features framed by dark hair. Naruto realized it was the same masked individual from before, though now they lacked the mask. Hey, Naruto said, voice low. Who are you? The stranger smiled, soft and serene. I'm just collecting herbs for a friend. A spike of unease twisted in Naruto's stomach. So this is Haku. He didn't sense immediate hostility, but the demon within him stirred. Picking up the faint undercurrent of strong chakra, he forced a casual stance. This friend Zabuza, right? Haku's eyes widened a fraction, then eased into a half smile. You're perceptive. Naruto narrowed his eyes, every muscle on alert. Shouldn't I be trying to fight you? Haku shook his head. I have no wish to fight you right now. My only desire is to protect the one precious to me. Naruto felt a pang of recognition. He understood that devotion, but it conflicted with his mission. Zabuza's trying to kill our client, he said stiffly. We won't let that happen. Haku rose gracefully, carrying a small basket of herbs. Then we'll inevitably clash, but I hope we might remain respectful enemies. Naruto's demon side bristled at the gentle tone, but something about Haku's demon honor forced him to restrain his aggression. Yeah, we'll see. With a short bow, Haku turned and disappeared into the morning mist. Naruto stood there, tension thrumming through him. Zabuza isn't gone for good. Have Kakashi later. Tazuna's home. Kakashi leaned against a corner of the main room, arms folded as Naruto recounted his encounter with Haku. Sasuke listened intently, while Sakura sat beside Tsunami, eyes flicking nervously. Kakashi sighed. So Zabuza is alive, as I suspected. And Haku is collecting medicinal herbs likely to speed Zabuza's recovery. Sasuke muttered. Then we'll have to face them soon. Yes, Kakashi confirmed. Zabuza won't remain injured for long. That means we need to train. Naruto perked up, excitement flaring. Train. Kakashi gave a nod. We don't have much time. But we can improve your chakra control. That might make a difference in the next battle. Sakura looked skeptical. Chakra control, isn't that more for healing techniques? Kakashi shook his head. Chakra control is the foundation of everything. And from what I saw, Naruto and Sasuke have the raw power, but they're wasting energy. Sakura, you excel in precision, so you'll catch on quickly. Naruto glanced down at his hands. He remembered how easily he'd broken that mist ninja's ribs. Perhaps with better control, he wouldn't have to rely so much on brute force or risk unleashing the demon side. Chakra control training the forest. Kakashi led them to a stretch of thick forest near Tazuna's house. The planned tree walking training. He demonstrated how to channel chakra to the soles of the feet. Then walked calmly up the trunk of a giant tree. Maintain just the right amount of chakra so you don't slip or destroy the bark. It's trickier than it looks. Sakura tried first, taking a running start. She managed several steps before losing balance, but her control was decent, so she didn't fall far. Sasuke gritted his teeth, determined to surpass her. Naruto stared at the tree with a calculating gaze. Let's see, Naruto murmured, focusing chakra to his feet. His first attempt was clumsy. He blasted too much energy, causing the bark to crack. He leapt back, scowling. Kakashi chuckled. Easy there, Naruto. You're overdoing it. Naruto exhaled. Right, control. He tried again, dialing back the demon-fueled power. This time, he made it further up the trunk before an abrupt slip. He stabilized with a quick leap, flipping onto a branch. A grin spread across his face. This is kind of fun. They practiced for hours. Sasuke quickly found a rhythm, fueling his competitive edge. Sakura refined her technique the fastest, as predicted, which left Sasuke seething. Naruto, meanwhile, found that each attempt forced him to confront just how massive and volatile his chakra reserves were. He constantly risked shattering the bark. Still, by the end of the afternoon, they'd all made steady progress. Sweaty, scraped, but determined, they gathered at the base of the trees. Kakashi watched them with quiet approval. You're learning faster than I expected. Sasuke didn't respond, but a hint of satisfaction curved his lips. Sakura wiped her brow. Naruto cracked his neck, the demon sighed restless but contained. We'll rest for now, Kakashi decided. We'll resume tomorrow. Zabuza won't attack until he's recovered, so we still have a bit of time. Of Naruto that evening, night fell softly over the village. Naruto found himself wandering outside, unable to remain cooped up. The demon's presence buzzed in his veins after so much chakra training. He ended up on a small dock near Tazuna's house, moonlight reflecting on the water's surface. He stared at the ripples, lost in thought. Footsteps approached. Naruto turned to see Tsunami, Tazuna's daughter, carrying a small lantern. Her gentle face held concern. You should get some rest, she said kindly. He gave a polite nod. Yeah, I just needed air. She set the lantern down, her expression thoughtful. My father told me you're fighting to protect us. And that, you have a special power. Naruto tensed slightly. Special power? Huh, Tsunami shrugged. He said you're stronger than normal genin. A bit frightening, maybe, but you're here for our sake. I just wanted to thank you. Naruto glanced away. You're not scared of you? Tsunami asked gently. No, you risked your life to protect us. How could I be afraid of that? Warmth spread through his chest, battling the cold coil of demon blood. So many people looked at him with dread, but Tsunami's gratitude felt sincere. Thank you, he said, voice softer than usual. She offered a small smile, then picked up her lantern. Get some rest. We need you strong for whatever comes next. As she walked back, Naruto closed his eyes, letting the gentle lap of water soothe his thoughts. Maybe there were people who would accept him demon or not. Break of dawn, the next clash looms. Time passed swiftly. Team 7 continued training, and Kakashi slowly recovered from his Sharingan fatigue. Tazuna's bridge neared completion. Tension hung in the air like a coiled spring. Everyone knew Zabuza's second attack was imminent. On the day Tazuna scheduled the final construction push, Kakashi insisted on accompanying him again. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, you know the plan. Stay vigilant. They walked with Tazuna onto the bridge, dawn light struggling through thick, oppressive fog. Workers hammered away, But the mood was uneasy. Halfway across, the temperature seemed to drop. Kakashi signaled for them to halt, scanning the mist with narrowed eyes. Sakura swallowed nervously. Zabuza. A sinister chuckle echoed. The dense mist swirled, revealing Zabuza with his massive sword hefted across his shoulders. Beside him stood Haku, expression unreadable. Long time no see, Kakashi, Zabuza growled. Though he still bore faint bandages around his torso. I owe you for last time. Kakashi's voice was calm. You should have stayed in bed, Zabuza. Zabuza's smirk twisted. I never give up a good kill. Haku's gaze lingered on Naruto, a quiet apology flickering there. I must protect Zabuza, Haku said softly. Forgive me. Battle on the bridge. Rapid assault. In an instant, the battle erupted. Zabuza launched himself at Kakashi, sword swinging in a deadly arc. Kakashi countered, steel sparks flying. They clashed fiercely at the bridge's center, water jutsu colliding as the structure trembled. Meanwhile, Haku dashed toward Naruto and Sasuke, weaving signs. Crystal ice mirrors materialized around them in a dazzling display, forming a dome of mirrors reflecting Haku's image from every angle. Sakura stayed near Tazuna, trembling slightly as the air crackled with hostile chakra. She readied a kunai, scanning for an opening to help. Inside the dome, Naruto and Sasuke stood back to back, adrenaline spiking. Haku's reflection appeared in each mirror, poised with Senbon needles. Clack! A hail of needles rained down. Sasuke deflected some with kunai, while Naruto dodged with supernatural speed. One needle grazed his cheek, drawing a thin line of blood. A savage thrill rushed through Naruto at the scent of his own blood. The demon side roared within, urging him to unleash it all. Not yet, he told himself through gritted teeth. Sasuke glared at the mirrors. We can't just stand here. Naruto nodded, forming hand seals. Shadow clone jutsu. Clones filled the dome, each charging a different mirror. But Haku darted between reflections, striking them down with effortless grace. Ha! Sasuke. He was forced on the defensive, the needles coming from impossible angles. Yet he couldn't let Naruto outdo him. Sharingan. He felt a twinge behind his eyes, something stirring. If he could just read Haku's movements. The red swirl of the Sharingan flickered, partial awakening. He caught glimpses of Haku's swift figure. A wave of fury ignited in Sasuke's chest, a longing for more power. Naruto's breaking point. As the needles pinned down more clones, Naruto's frustration mounted. Another volley sliced his arms and legs, shallow wounds stinging. The demon blood responded to pain. An intense heat built in his core. His vision tinted red at the edges. I won't lose here, he roared, channeling chakra in a wild surge. A faint aura of red flickered around him, not the Kyuubi's usual swirl, but something deeper, sharper, reminiscent of a heartbeat pounding from centuries past. Haku froze for a fraction of a second, feeling the spike in Naruto's presence. This is different from normal chakra. Using the opening, Sasuke launched a flurry of kunai at one mirror. Haku jumped to another, but Naruto intercepted with unnatural speed, fists glowing with raw energy. He slammed a punch into the mirror's surface, fracturing it. Crack! Spiderweb fissures spread through the ice, and Haku gasped, forced to leap away. Outside the dome, the shockwave of Naruto's punch rattled the bridge. Even Kakashi and Zabuza paused mid-clash to glance over. Zabuza's eyes narrowed. What kind of chakra is that brat using? Kakashi didn't answer, but worry etched his features. Naruto, what are you doing? Haku's resolve. Haku realized Naruto's assault was coming faster now, each blow carrying tremendous force. Sasuke's eyes had partially awakened the Sharingan, letting him follow Haku's movements more closely. Senbon needles clashed with kunai, sparks illuminating the fractured dome. Haku, breathing heavily, sent Naruto a pained look. You're strong, but I must protect Zabuza. Naruto's eyes flashed red. Then I'll break these mirrors and stop you. Drawing on every ounce of demonic chakra he dared, Naruto launched himself forward. Sasuke provided covering fire with shuriken. Haku tried to slip away, but found the space shrinking as more mirrors cracked under Naruto's raw power. In a final desperation move, Haku blurred behind Sasuke, needle raised to strike. Naruto's eyes widened. No, he rushed in, ignoring a barrage of needles that pierced his shoulder. Pain flared, but the demon blood howled, fueling him further. He snatched Haku's arm mid-strike, halting the blow inches from Sasuke's neck. A tense heartbeat passed. Haku's gaze flicked between Naruto and Sasuke, sorrow brimming. Then, Haku made a quiet decision: he cannot defeat them without risking a greater tragedy. Clashes end Kakashi's triumph. Simultaneously, at the bridge's center, Kakashi's moves forced Zabuza into a corner. The copy ninja completed a lightning blade technique, lightning crackling around his hand, and thrust it forward. Zabuza tried to block, but the jutsu tore through his guard, leaving a deep wound. Zabuza collapsed to one knee, blood spattering the broken concrete of the bridge. Kakashi loomed over him, panting, the aura of victory in his stance. Zabuza, it's over. Seeing his master defeated, Haku's resolve crumbled. Naruto felt the tension in the air shift. The swirling ice mirrors shattered into glittering shards. Sasuke stumbled away, gasping for breath. Haku dropped to the bridge floor, kneeling by the wounded Zabuza. "Forgive me, I failed you," Zabuza hissed, trying to push Haku away. Blood trickled down his mouth. Kakashi raised a hand, preparing a final strike, but a sudden chorus of rough laughter echoed across the bridge. Gato appeared with a band of thugs behind him, leering. "What a spectacle. Looks like I don't need you after all, Zabuza. I'll kill you and the Leaf Shinobi myself, save some money." Quote. Zabuza spat blood. "You bastard." Gato's men advanced, weapons gleaming. The villagers working on the bridge scattered in fear. Zabuza forced himself upright, glaring at Gato with lethal fury. "Haku, can you still fight?" Haku trembled, clearly at the edge of exhaustion. "I will do my best." Kakashi surveyed the approaching mob. Team 7, protect Tazuna. Naruto and Sasuke exchanged a brief nod. Despite their battered state, they faced down the thugs. This is it, one more push. Mob versus Shinobi. The bandits roared, charging. Kakashi, though drained, slick-edged through the first wave like a whirlwind. Naruto launched himself at a cluster of them, fists and kunai flashing. He moved with savage grace, the demon's strength still coursing through him. Sasuke shared the brunt, unleashing a quick burst of fire jutsu to scatter more. Sakura stood guard near Tazuna, picking off any stray attackers that slipped past. Even Zabuza, in a final act of spiteful revenge, mustered enough energy to shred his way through a handful of Gato's men. Wounded though he was, the demon of the hidden mist refused to die without claiming some retribution. Amid the chaos, Gato tried to retreat, but Zabuza cornered him, eyes blazing with murderous intent. The final scream of the tyrant ended abruptly, leaving the thugs demoralized. "Ha, Naruto," he panted, surrounded by unconscious or groaning men. A few flecks of blood splattered his clothes. The coppery tang assaulted his senses, stirring that dark hunger again. He clenched his jaw, fighting it down. "Stay in control." Gato's gang fled, leaving only the battered remnants behind. Tazuna, wide-eyed, clutched a metal pipe he'd barely used. The tide had turned, the bridge was free. Aftermath and farewell. The sun broke through the mist, overlooking the water. Team 7 and Tazuna stood among shattered concrete and broken weapons. Zabuza, mortally wounded, knelt beside Haku, whose life also slipped away. A hush settled. Even Kakashi didn't interrupt. Naruto, chest heaving, watched the pair with conflicting emotions: pity, understanding, a strange kinship for what it meant to be an outcast. In a hushed voice, Zabuza admitted, "Haku was the only precious thing in my life." Haku smiled faintly, reaching for Zabuza's hand. "Thank you for allowing me to stay by your side." Their voices trailed off, the grim finality descending. It struck Naruto more than he expected, the demon within him quiet for a moment. They cared for each other, just like we care for our friends. Sakura felt tears in her eyes. Even Sasuke looked away, troubled. At last, Zabuza's head drooped, life fading. The thick fog dissipated, revealing a clear sky overhead. Later that day, village shore. Word spread quickly that Gato was dead, and his hired goons had fled. The villagers, emboldened, reclaimed the docks. Tazuna's bridge would be finished at last, bringing hope and trade back to the land of waves. Team 7 rested at Tazuna's home. Kakashi, though weary, was pleased. "You've all grown in this mission," he told them. "We faced unexpected dangers, but you adapted." Naruto, bandaged around the shoulder, felt a bittersweet pang. We survived. But I can't stop thinking about Haku. They were just fighting for someone precious. Sakura placed a gentle hand on Naruto's arm. We did what we had to do. Sasuke said nothing, but a complicated expression crossed his face. Perhaps he saw a reflection of his own obsession in Haku's devotion. Bridge celebration. On their final day, Tazuna insisted on naming the bridge after the hero who saved them, the Great Naruto Bridge. Sakura giggled at Naruto's excited grin, while Sasuke acted annoyed. Even Kakashi cracked a smile behind his mask. Tsunami thanked them tearfully, hugging each of them. Sasuke squirmed awkwardly. Naruto took it in stride, and Sakura returned the embrace warmly. "Don't forget to visit," Tsunami said, voice thick with gratitude. "Our home is always open." Naruto nodded, feeling genuine warmth in his chest. "They aren't afraid of me." Departing the land of waves, Team 7 set off along the coast, heading back toward Fire Country. Kakashi led the way, though he walked with a slight limp. They were all exhausted, but the mood was lighter. They'd succeeded against overwhelming odds, forging deeper bonds along the way. As they traveled, the memory of Zabuza and Haku lingered in Naruto's thoughts. Mingling with that ever-present pulse of demonic energy, he had glimpsed how far he could push himself and realized the terrifying allure of unleashing more. He also recalled the quiet moment on the balcony with Sakura, how close they'd come to crossing a line. A faint smirk tugged his lips. "When we get back, maybe I'll see how Ino's doing." His mind flicked to Ino's playful banter. That little spark of flirtation. He wasn't sure if it was simple curiosity or something else, but the idea of exploring it made his heart pound a little faster. Kakashi. He glanced over his shoulder. Observing Naruto's thoughtful expression, the boy had changed so much it was more than simply gaining skill. An undercurrent of darkness lurked beneath his calm confidence. "I need to watch him carefully." But for now, the mission was complete, and the land behind them was free from Gato's tyranny. With spirits lifted, they set their sights on Konoha once more. Epilogue of Chapter 2: The Return to Konoha. Hours blurred into a full day of travel. At the border, they finally glimpsed the familiar gates of the Hidden Leaf rising in the distance. Sunlight bathed the countryside, a warm welcome home. Naruto inhaled deeply, letting the comforting sense of his home village wash over him. "We did it." Sasuke walked a few steps ahead, face set in silent determination. Sakura followed, relief evident on her features. Kakashi trailed behind, half focused on his book, half on his team. They passed through the gates, greeted by curious stares from a few bystanders. Word of Naruto's growing reputation seemed to trickle through the village. The Kyuubi brat was now known as the hero of the Wave Mission. Some eyes still held caution, but others lit with tentative respect. Naruto felt a soft swell of pride, tempered by the knowledge that he carried more than just the 9 tails. In the quiet corners of his mind, he heard a faint echo of an ancient demon, thirsting for power. "I won't let you take control," he silently promised. But as they moved deeper into the village, life resumed its normal rhythm: chatter of merchants, the clang of blacksmiths, the fragrance of street food. For a moment, everything felt peaceful again. In his heart, Naruto knew that the land of waves was only the beginning. Bigger challenges loomed, and he'd need every ounce of his strength and cunning to face them. For now, though, he reveled in the small victory, the sense of camaraderie with his team, and the tantalizing possibility that maybe the shinobi world would come to accept him, demon blood and all. End of Chapter 2. Chapter 3: Unmasked Power. Return to Konoha early morning. The sun hadn't fully risen when Team 7 finally crossed through Konoha's gates. After the harrowing mission in the Land of Waves, every step on home soil brought relief. Naruto walked at the group's rear, bandages peeking from beneath his orange and black jacket. Beside him, Sakura carried a soft smile of anticipation at seeing her friends again. While Sasuke maintained his usual distance, eyes scanning for potential threats even here in the village. At the front, Kakashi sighed as he pocketed his little orange book. "Home sweet home," Kakashi murmured. "First, we'll report to the Hokage. Then, you're all free for the rest of the day." Sakura perked up. "Good, I could use a long bath." Naruto said nothing, but he couldn't deny the warm spark in his chest. Despite the stares from some villagers still uneasy about the demon rumors, he was proud. They'd completed a mission well beyond normal genin level. He'd protected people who needed him, harnessing his strange Muzan-like power without losing himself entirely. Yet even as they made their way to the Hokage Tower, that subdued hunger still thrummed in the back of Naruto's mind. I need to keep it under control, he reminded himself. No one can know just how deep this goes. Hokage's office mission debrief. A swirl of smoke rose from Sarutobi Hiru's pipe as he listened to Kakashi's report. Iruka stood off to the side, arms crossed, face shifting from concern to amazement. Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke lined up in front of the third Hokage's desk. When Kakashi finished, Sarutobi tapped the ashes from his pipe. So you encountered Zabuza of the Hidden Mist, and survived. Impressive work. His gaze slid over the three genin. I'm especially proud of your resilience. You've grown stronger. Sasuke responded with a curt nod, while Sakura politely bowed in thanks. Naruto simply grinned, though there was a flicker of restlessness in his eyes. Take the next few days to recover, Sarutobi said. We have the Chunin exams approaching soon. The village will be busy. Sakura exchanged a quick, uncertain glance with Naruto. Chunin exams, everyone at the academy used to talk about them. But it felt too soon. Naruto, however, felt a surge of excitement. More challenges, more chances to prove myself. Sarutobi dismissed them, but right as Naruto turned to leave, the Hokage's voice called out, Naruto. A moment. Kakashi, Sasuke, and Sakura took the hint and waited in the hall. Naruto stepped back, forcing a neutral expression. Sarutobi regarded him gravely, leaning forward on the desk. I hear rumors you displayed unusual chakra in Wave Country. Naruto's heartbeat quickened. He kept his voice steady. Just the 9 tails, right? The third's eyes narrowed slightly. You tell me, Naruto. Was it only the 9 tails? Silence lingered in the office. Naruto felt that gnawing swirl inside him like Muzan's echo coiling around his heart. But he'd spent years learning to hide it, even from himself. He forced a broad shrug. Don't know what to say, old man. Maybe the fox is just stronger than you thought. Sarutobi sighed, lines of worry deepening on his face. Very well, just be careful. Naruto mustered a grin. Sure thing, Hokage-sama. Then he slipped out, swallowing the uneasy feeling that the third might suspect more than he let on. Konoha streets midday. The sun climbed high, streets bustling with shinobi and civilians alike. Naruto bid a quick goodbye to Sakura and Sasuke. Sakura headed off to find a bathhouse. Sasuke vanished toward a training field. Kakashi gave them the next few days to rest, though, rest, for Sasuke meant intense solo practice. Naruto, on the other hand, wanted to find Ino. He hadn't forgotten their playful exchanges at the academy, nor the sparks that sometimes flew between them. After the life and death struggles in Wave, a little normalcy or flirtation sounded good. He made his way to the Yamanaka flower shop, the sweet scent of blooms drifting into the street. The shop's front windows displayed vibrant arrangements, and a small sign read, Open. Inside, Ino Yamanaka stood behind the counter, sorting out a cluster of daisies. At the sight of Naruto stepping in, she smiled in surprise. Naruto, I heard you were on a big mission. Back already? Naruto leaned against the counter, cocky grin in place. Yup. C rank turned A rank, but I managed. Ino smirked. Listen to you, bragging. What happened? You get lost in the forest or something? He chuckled, ignoring the sly jab. Not exactly. Let's just say the mission was way above our pay grade. Ino came around the counter, the flowery scent trailing her. You look different, she said, tilting her head. I mean, more confident than usual. Naruto shrugged, but that flicker of predatory energy glinted in his eyes. She's noticing, he thought with quiet satisfaction. I've grown, he said simply. She folded her arms, though her cheeks tinted a faint pink. I might be free in an hour or so if you wanna grab something to eat. He leaned in slightly, lowering his voice. Only if you promise not to whine about Sasuke the entire time. Ino huffed, feigning offense. As if, Sasuke's old news, sort of. She paused, something unreadable flitting across her gaze. I just want to catch up. Got a problem with that? None at all, Naruto replied. Smirk softening into a genuine smile. I'll swing by later. POV Sasuke Training Ground 14, afternoon. Sasuke tore through a series of practice dummies, sweat drenching his clothes. Mission in Wave had rattled him more than he cared to admit. Haku was strong, and Naruto, Sasuke scowled, hurling a kunai that lodged deep into a wooden post. Naruto's power was on another level. S mind replayed that moment in Haku's ice dome, Naruto radiating a feral aura. For the first time, Sasuke had sensed fear creeping into his chest, not just from their enemy, but from Naruto's inhuman energy. I can't let him outpace me. He formed the fireball jutsu seal, exhaling a searing flame that blackened the training post. Another volley of kunai, another wave of frustration. Sasuke panted, eyes glinting dangerously. I have to be stronger for my revenge, and to surpass that idiot. Ichiraku Ramen late afternoon. Naruto and Ino sat side by side at the small ramen stall, steam rising from their bowls. The savory aroma of miso broth filled the air. Ino twirled her chopsticks idly, shifting from playful banter to more genuine curiosity. So, she said, leaning closer, tell me the real story. Everyone's been gossiping about how your team ran into some super strong ninja. Naruto blew on his noodles. Zabuza Momochi, one of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist. We had to fight for our lives. Ino's eyes went wide. That's insane. How the heck did you survive? He glanced sideways, a faint grin tugging at his lips. We adapted, and maybe I've got a trick or two up my sleeve. The subtle note of mystery in his voice. A trick, huh? Secrets from your pervy sensei. Kakashi sensei's not that bad, Naruto chuckled. Then he set his bowl down, his demeanor shifting. It wasn't easy, though. People died. Good people. We ended up freeing a whole village from a tyrant. It changed me. Ino softened, resting a hand on his arm. You alright? Naruto's eyes flickered within. Emotion she couldn't quite read, some mix of pride, sorrow, and a darker undercurrent. I'm alive. That's more than some can say. The quiet tension settled between them, broken only by the clatter of bowls when Chuki came to collect empty dishes. Ino took a breath, changing the subject gently. So, about the Chunin exams. Naruto perked up. You taking them too? Probably. My dad wants me to, I'm not about to let forehead girl. She cleared her throat. I mean, Sakura get ahead of me. Naruto snorted a laugh. I see you two are still at it. Ino shrugged. We're friends, kinda. Rivals, definitely. She leaned closer again, voice dropping. I heard rumors there'll be a lot of strong contenders from other villages. Might even see Gaara of the Sand, some prodigy from Suna. Guess everyone's gunning for the spotlight. Naruto's pulse quickened. The notion of testing himself against powerful shinobi from across the nation sounded exhilarating and dangerous. Will I have to tap into more of my demon side? He shook the thought, refocusing on Ino's bright gaze. Sounds like fun. He let a slow smirk curl his lips. You know, if we both pass, maybe we can celebrate properly. Ino's cheeks flushed the slightest bit. Don't get ahead of yourself, Naruto. But, yeah, maybe. Team 7 meeting the next day. Kakashi summoned them to a secluded clearing near the Hokage monument. He leaned against a boulder, seeming relaxed as ever. Sakura stood to one side, hair still damp from a morning shower. Sasuke fidgeted impatiently, arms crossed. Naruto arrived last, hands in his pockets. Kakashi greeted them. We'll keep it short. The Chunin exams are around the corner. Each Genin squad can decide whether to participate. Your performance in Wave was impressive, but these exams are no joke. Sasuke's eyes gleamed with ambition. I'm in. Sakura hesitated, then squared her shoulders. Me too. Naruto grinned. Let's do it. Kakashi nodded. Very well. You'll officially register tomorrow morning. For the rest of the day, rest up or train as you see fit. I suggest focusing on teamwork. You'll need it for the early stages of the exam. Sasuke scoffed, though Naruto noticed a flicker of silent acknowledgement. After their brush with death in Wave, maybe even Sasuke recognized the importance of working together, at least to a point. Later, Konoha Training Grounds Team 7 practice. Kakashi. I stepped aside after giving them a few pointers on advanced kunai techniques. He let them spar amongst themselves. The atmosphere crackled with tension as Naruto squared off against Sasuke, while Sakura observed from the sideline, occasionally offering suggestions. "Don't hold back," Sasuke muttered, brandishing a kunai. Naruto's lips twitched into a challenging grin. "I won't." They blurred into motion. Steel clashed with steel, each testing the other's speed. Sasuke's movements were sharp, refined. Naruto's were fluid, bolstered by an uncanny strength that made Sasuke grit his teeth. "What are you?" Sasuke hissed between strikes. "You're not just the Kyuubi container." Naruto deflected a slash, pivoting to deliver a back kick that Sasuke barely dodged. For a heartbeat, their eyes locked. Naruto saw confusion and frustration in Sasuke's glare. He said nothing, spinning away. In a flash, Naruto closed the distance, pressing Sasuke's kunai aside and landing a grazing blow on his shoulder. Sasuke stumbled, cursing. "Damn it!" Sasuke spat. "Stop looking down on me." Naruto blinked. "I'm not." Sasuke lunged again, eyes flashing with the beginnings of the Sharingan. This time, Naruto felt the air shift. Sasuke's reflexes soared, letting him read Naruto's next move. The Uchiha's kunai slashed across Naruto's ribcage. A superficial cut, but enough to draw blood. A sharp sting spread, and Naruto bit back a hiss. The iron tang of his own blood awakened something primal within him. His heart pounded, demon instincts urging him to fight with lethal force. "No." He clamped down on it. "Enough." Kakashi's voice cut through. He stood between them, hands raised. "This is sparring, not a death match." They stepped back, panting. Sasuke glared, while Naruto steadied his breathing, the demon's hunger slowly easing. Sakura rushed over, concern evident. "Naruto, you're bleeding." She placed a hand lightly on the slash across his ribs. "Here, let me." Naruto waved it off, though he flashed her a reassuring smile. "I'm okay. It's just a scratch." Indeed, even as he spoke, the wound clotted unnaturally fast, a testament to his demonic healing. Sakura's eyes widened slightly. "That's healing so quick." He shrugged, ignoring her confused stare. Kakashi watched with a measured gaze, saying nothing. Sasuke turned away, fists clenched. "I'm done here," he muttered, walking off. A tense silence lingered. Kakashi gave Naruto a subtle nod to check on Sasuke. But Naruto just stood there, letting the moment pass. "We'll settle this in the exams if we have to." Evening. Naruto's apartment. Naruto sprawled on his small bed, bandages now covering the shallow cut from Sasuke. The window was open, letting in the crisp night air. He replayed the spar, the surge of demonic energy when he tasted his own blood. "I have to keep a lid on this." His mind drifted to Haku and Zabuza again, two kindred souls who'd found purpose in each other. Their devotion ended in tragedy. "Will that be my fate if I lose control?" He sighed, rolling onto his side. A sudden memory of the near kiss with Sakura on the wave balcony pulsed in his thoughts, quickly joined by the memory of Ino's bright smile. He was drawn to them, both so different, yet each fueling his desire to be acknowledged and admired. His phone, an older wireless set, buzzed quietly on the table, a text notification. He got up, checking it. She was from Ino. "You better be at your best for the exams. Don't lose before we get a chance to fight." Semicolon closing parenthesis quote. A slow grin spread across his face. "Yeah, I won't lose." He typed back a quick response, then set the phone aside. His reflection in the window caught his eye-red pupils glimmering faintly. For a moment, the specter of Muzan Kibutsuji's legacy looked back at him. "I won't be a puppet to your hunger," he vowed silently. He snapped the light off, letting darkness settle in. Chunin exams registration next morning. The academy buzzed with genin from various villages. Sand, grass, rain, and even sound headbands dotted the hallways. Tension and excitement pulsed in the air. Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke stood side by side before the check-in desk. "Team 7, Naruto announced, placing his form on the counter. Behind the desk, a bored Chunin clerk stamped their paperwork. "Exam starts in 2 days. Don't be late." Sasuke glanced around, spotting Gaara of the sand in a corner, the boy's pale green eyes disturbingly intense. Sakura shuffled closer to Naruto, whispering, "That guy creeps me out. The way he's staring." Naruto caught Gaara's gaze for a split second. A chill crawled along his spine. Igaara's eyes were reminiscent of a monster searching for prey. Yet somewhere, Naruto sensed a dark kinship. He's a Jinchuriki too, Naruto thought, though not quite like me. They turned to leave when a familiar voice called, "Hey." Billboard brow. Sakura stiffened, turning to see Ino flanked by Shikamaru and Choji Team 10. Ino's gaze flitted past Sakura to Naruto, a small smirk forming on her lips. "You guys signing up too? Looks like we'll be competing." Sakura bristled at the old nickname. "You bet we are. Don't get too cocky, Ino pig." Ino giggled lightly, eyes sliding to Naruto. "Try not to lose too early, or I'll be disappointed." A subtle electricity flickered in the air between them. Sakura noticed it and pursed her lips. "What's that about?" Meanwhile, Shikamaru yawned, muttering something about the exam being a drag. Choji munched on a bag of chips, eyeing everyone with easygoing friendliness. "Whatever," Sasuke said, walking past them, clearly uninterested in the exchange. Naruto shrugged, following. As he passed Ino, he gave a quick wink that made her blush slightly. Sakura, noticing the silent interplay, fought an unexpected pang of jealousy. She hurried after her teammates, ignoring the weird swirl of emotions churning inside her. 2 days later, the written exam. A large lecture hall buzzed with genin. Proctors directed them to assigned seats, spaced apart to prevent cheating at least. Cheating by normal means, Naruto found himself near the front, pen and test paper waiting. Sakura sat a few rows behind, while Sasuke was somewhere to the right. Ibiki Morino, the head proctor, stood at the podium, scars lining his stern face. His booming voice explained the rules: no getting caught cheating, or you'd lose points for your whole team. The final question would be revealed at the end. Naruto eyed the test questions, dread pooling in his gut. Each problem looked impossibly advanced, stuff we never covered in the academy. What the hell is this? He cast a sidelong glance, noticing some genin scribbling answers confidently. Others surreptitiously used jutsu or special abilities to glean answers from the few who actually knew them. "I get it," he thought. "They want us to cheat without getting caught." He let out a slow breath, focusing chakra to his senses. If he extended his hearing just right, maybe he could pick up pencils scratching from the top scorers. But the demon side whispered, "Use the blood, claim what you want," stirring an uncomfortable hunger. "No," he snapped inwardly. "I can handle this." He carefully listened, picking out patterns of how the proctors moved. Then, timing it perfectly, he released a small pulse of demonic chakra to enhance his hearing. The subtle shift let him hear the faint scribbles from the most studious Sankunoichi 5 seats away. It wasn't perfect, but enough for him to piece together some answers. "Gotcha," he thought, scribbling down what he deduced. He clenched his jaw against the creeping wave of excitement that he always followed, using a fraction of his demon senses. Around him, several teams were weeded out for sloppy cheating attempts, escorted out in disgrace. Naruto held his breath, hoping no one sensed his unnatural trick. Finally, Ibiki reached the moment for the final question, a psychological gambit. If you choose to take it and fail, you'll never retake the Chunin exams ever again. If you don't take it, you can leave now, but your whole team fails. Anxiety rippled across the room. One by one, nervous genin raised their hands, bowing out. Teams left in clusters, hearts sinking. Naruto's gut twisted. This is crazy, but backing down wasn't an option. He remembered the land of waves, the people they protected. "I'm never giving up." He slammed his hand on the desk, shouting, "I'm not afraid. Bring it on." A hush fell. Ibiki grinned, revealing the final twist: no real question. Those who remained had passed the first test. Cheers erupted from a few. Naruto exhaled relief, ignoring the adrenaline tremor coursing through him. One step closer. Forest of Death, the second exam. A woman with wild purple hair and a sadistic grin introduced herself as Anko Mitarashi, the proctor for the second stage. She led the remaining teams to a sprawling, fenced-in forest known for its deadly flora and fauna. They were given 2 types of scrolls, heaven and earth, and told to survive 5 days in the forest. To pass, each team must obtain the complementary scroll by any means. That meant combat. Naruto's blood thrummed with anticipation. Sasuke and Sakura mirrored that intensity, though each had their own brand of nerves. When the gates opened, Team 7 darted into the dense undergrowth. The air smelled of damp leaves and lurking predators. Sunlight barely penetrated the canopy. Before long, the Al adrenaline spike settled into tense awareness. We have an Earth scroll, Sakura whispered. We need a heaven scroll. Naruto sniffed the air, senses on high alert. He smelled rotting wood, moss, the ain't tang of an animal carcass in the distance. But more than that, he sensed a flicker of powerful chakra. Ha of Naruto. A sudden shift in the wind. Something's off. He signaled to Sasuke and Sakura to take cover. They leapt onto branches, silent as possible. Then, from behind a tree, a genin from the hidden grass appeared, unnaturally calm. Naruto's hackles rose. This guy's not normal. The grass ninja locked eyes with Sasuke. Voice unsettlingly smooth. The Uchiha survivor. This exam just got interesting. A gust of wind whipped the clearing, blowing leaves in swirling arcs. Naruto bared, his teeth slightly, his demon side reacting to the malicious aura rolling off this individual. Who is this? The grass ninja's face twisted unnaturally, like a snake shedding skin. Suddenly, his tongue lashed out to absurd lengths, nearly striking Sasuke. In a burst of motion, Naruto kicked Sasuke aside, taking the brunt of the blow. The impact sent Naruto flying into a tree trunk. Pain exploded through his shoulder. But the demon healing kicked in immediately, dulling the sting. He coughed, glaring at the figure. He's no ordinary genin. The chakra presence was monstrous. Sakura gasped from the sidelines. Who are you? A chilling laugh emanated from the ninja, voice dropping into a sinister hiss. You can call me Orochimaru. Orochimaru's attack. The forest seemed to darken around them, as if nature itself recoiled from Orochimaru's presence. Sasuke trembled, eyes wide with fear. Naruto felt something akin to pure dread, yet also a twisted excitement from the demon inside him. A predator recognizes another predator. Orochimaru flicked his gaze to Naruto, curiosity igniting in his eyes. There's more to you than just the 9 tails, interesting. Naruto's heart thundered. He knows. Without warning, Orochimaru lunged, fingertips extending like claws. Sasuke froze, but Naruto sprang into action. He summoned multiple shadow clones, each launching themselves at Orochimaru. The snack, E-like ninja weaved between them with terrifying ease, dismantling each clone in a flurry of strikes. Crash! A wave of killing intent washed over them, pinning Sakura to her spot. Sasuke staggered, fear threatening to swallow him. Naruto clenched his jaw, forcibly pushing back against the wave. I won't be paralyzed. He willed more demonic chakra into his limbs, bracing for Orochimaru's next move. The grass ninja's neck extended impossibly, jaws opening wide in a grotesque display. Naruto's eyes widened. What the hell is that? But Sasuke snapped out of his trance, hurling kunai at the elongated neck. Orochimaru retracted with an amused hiss, clearly toying with them. You're both quite entertaining, Orochimaru purred. His gaze lingered on Sasuke. The Uchiha bloodline. And you, Naruto, with this fascinating demon power. I'll mark you both as worth watching. Without warning, he whipped around, forming a short sequence of seals. Hidden shadow snake hands. Serpents burst from his sleeves, wrapping around Sasuke. Sasuke let out a choking gasp. Let him go, Naruto roared, launching forward, ignoring Sakura's terrified cry. He slashed at the snakes, cutting them free. Orochimaru's only widened as he twisted behind Naruto, hand pressed to Naruto's back. Pain. It lanced through Naruto's body as a strange, burning seal began to form across his skin. He screamed, collapsing to his knees. Sakura's horror-stricken face blurred at the edges of his vision. Consider that a taste of my interest, Orochimaru whispered. Though yours is different from the curse mark one have planned for Sasuke. Let's see how your demon side reacts. Naruto writhed, the mark searing into his flesh. His demonic chakra flared uncontrollably, swirling red-black energy that cracked the ground beneath him. Naruto! Sakura shrieked, rushing toward him. Orochimaru cackled, slipping away into the gloom with preternatural speed. A moment later, an anguished cry from Sasuke echoed through the forest, indicating he'd been marked too. Aftermath in the forest. When Naruto came to, the world spun in dizzying loops. His entire body felt like it was on fire, especially near the fresh seal scrawled across his skin. Sakura knelt beside him, tears brimming. She clutched his shoulders, relief flooding her voice. Naruto, you're awake, thank goodness. His vision cleared to reveal Sasuke on the ground nearby, also unconscious. Dark bruises marred his neck. The air reeked of blood and the lingering stench of Orochimaru's sinister chakra. Naruto tried to move, wincing at the stabbing pain from the new mark. Orochimaru. What the hell was that? Sakura shook her head, trembling. I don't know. Some rogue ninja from the Leaf's past, maybe. He mentioned wanting Sasuke, and he did something to you, too. Feeling the sting again, Naruto peeled back part of his jacket, revealing an intricate black pattern etched into his shoulder blade. It pulsed with faint heat, responding to the demon blood inside him. In his mind, the Muzan presence hissed in confusion, as if a foreign parasite had tried to overwrite something it already claimed. Naruto groaned, head pounding from the clashing energies. Sakura placed a comforting hand on his cheek. We have to find shelter. Sasuke's in bad shape, and you look. Naruto managed a shaky grin. I'm still breathing. Let's carry him. She helped him stand. Together, they hoisted Sasuke's limp form. Naruto forced down the pain, no time to collapse, and they stumbled deeper into the woods, searching for a safe spot to regroup. Shelter hollowed tree trunk. They settled inside the rotted trunk of an ancient tree. The interior was large enough to house them temporarily. Sakura scouted the perimeter, setting up traps as best she could. Naruto tended to Sasuke, who tossed in feverish dreams. Night fell fast, bringing eerie silence broken only by distant howls of predatory creatures. Naruto slumped against the trunk's inner wall, fighting his own waves of pain. The mark Orochimaru left kept flaring, as if testing the boundaries of Naruto's demonic energy. Naruto. He closed his eyes, feeling a headache bloom. Inside, that Muzan echo raged, clashing with Orochimaru's foreign curse seal. It was almost as if two demonic forces battled for supremacy. I won't be controlled, he thought, knuckles turning white as he clenched a piece of bark. This is my body. Sakura returned, kneeling beside him. Her voice was soft, laced with worry. Naruto, you're burning up. I can't even begin to treat that mark. He forced a grin through the pain. I'll manage. Concern flitted across her face. Then, in a sudden rush of emotion, Sakura leaned in and pressed her lips to his temple in a fleeting gesture of comfort. Don't you dare die on me. Naruto's heart fluttered despite the searing agony. It wasn't a passionate kiss, but it carried enough warmth to stir him. She does care. Despite everything, she was here, determined to protect both him and Sasuke. He mustered a weak chuckle. I won't. Dawn breaks renewed determination. After a fitful night, Sasuke stirred, jolting awake with a cry. The black markings on his neck receded slowly, leaving him drenched in sweat. Sakura rushed over, hugging him in relief. Naruto stood, ignoring the shooting pain from his own mark. Are you okay? Naruto asked. Sasuke's gaze flickered. He touched his neck, recalling Orochimaru's twisted grin. That snake freak. He gave me some kind of power, but it feels vile. Naruto nodded. Same here. We have to survive this exam, get out of here, and figure out what he wants. Sasuke's eyes hardened, a swirl of fear and fury mixing. He said he wants me for my Sharingan, but he was interested in your demon power. Why? Naruto tensed, glancing away. I don't know. A tense silence, broken only by Sakura's soft voice. Let's not lose focus. We still need a heaven scroll. They collected themselves. Sasuke seemed stable for now, though paler than usual. Naruto's mark still throbbed, but the demon healing helped keep him upright. We won't let Orochimaru win, Naruto vowed silently, stepping out of the hollow trunk. The forest beyond was still deadly, but they had no choice. They'd finish what they started, survive and uncover the meaning behind these cursed marks. Final scene emerging from the forest. Over the next few days, Team 7 maneuvered through ambushes, illusions, and desperate struggles with other genin squads. Naruto's demon senses proved invaluable for detecting threats, though each time he used them, the curse mark flared in protest. Sasuke had similar conflicts, occasionally succumbing to dark surges of power. Finally, battered and exhausted, they arrived at the tower in the forest's center, clutching both earth and heaven scrolls. Relief mingled with the gnawing dread of Orochimaru's looming threat. They stumbled inside, greeted by the proctors. A few other teams were already there. Ino's Team 10, Shikamaru lazily waving a hello. Team 8 with Hinata shyly smiling at Naruto from behind Kiba and Shino. Even Gaara's Sand team stood ominously in a corner, having arrived much earlier with minimal scratches. Sakura collapsed onto a bench, wiping sweat from her brow. Sasuke dropped beside her. Naruto sank down as well, ignoring the curious stares from other genin. They'd made it barely. Enko stepped forward, bright grin not quite reaching her eyes. Congratulations on surviving my forest of death. She paused, noting the tension radiating from Team 7. Her gaze flicked to the black marks on Sasuke's and Naruto's necks, and her playful smirk faded. Orochimaru. Yet there was no time for private warnings. The second exam was done. Time for the preliminary matches. Another proctor stepped forward, announcing, because so many teams survived, we'll hold preliminary battles to reduce the number of participants. If you're not up for fighting, you can withdraw now. Team 7 exchanged weary looks, but no one backed down. Naruto clenched his fists, a renewed fire in his eyes despite the searing throb of his curse mark. He'd come this far. Giving up wasn't an option. Enko and Ibiki moved to the sidelines. The scoreboard flickered to life, random names cycling. Tension skyrocketed as the gathered genin braced themselves. Naruto felt a faint twist in his gut, a blend of adrenaline and that demonic hunger. If I have to fight, I'll fight. For a heartbeat, he recalled Orochimaru's cold grin and the mocking words, let's see how your demon side reacts. Bring it on, Naruto growled inwardly. I'll show everyone what I can do without losing myself. The scoreboard stopped, revealing the first two opponents. The proctor called out their names, voice echoing in the tower's tall chamber. Sasuke Uchiha vs. Yoroi Akado. A hush fell. Sasuke stood slowly, the curse mark hidden beneath his collar. Naruto saw determination flare in Sasuke's eyes. Let's see how he handles it, he thought, stepping aside with Sakura. And so began the preliminary matches, the stage where hidden powers, cursed seals, and unspoken rivalries would come crashing to the surface, setting the tone for the battles to come. End of Chapter 3. Chapter 4 Seeds of Turmoil. Preliminaries begin. Chunin Exam Tower. The air inside the tower thrummed with tension, genin packed around a central fighting space. Overhead lights cast stark shadows across the arena. Naruto, standing beside a pale-looking Sakura, felt his pulse hammer at the sight of the massive digital scoreboard flickering with names. Leaning on the wall a short distance away, Sasuke clenched his fists in silent focus. The curse mark on his neck was hidden under his shirt collar, yet Naruto sensed its malevolent presence. At the front, the proctor, Hayate Gecko, coughed into his sleeve. Listen up, we'll hold one-on-one matches. Winners advance to the final round. Losers, well, better luck next time. If you can't continue, speak now. No one moved. The tension spiked further. Sakura glanced worriedly at Sasuke, her mind drifting to Orochimaru's assault in the Forest of Death. Naruto overheard her low whisper, you shouldn't push yourself if that mark flares up. Sasuke responded with a terse nod. His eyes gleamed with determination and a hint of darkness. Up on the screen, two names blinked and settled. Sasuke Uchiha vs. Yoroi Akado. A hush spread. Sasuke stepped forward, posture stiff but unwavering. A masked medical nin briefly approached Kakashi in the corner. Kakashi nodded as if acknowledging a private concern. Naruto studied Sasuke's face. Despite the grim set of his jaw, Sasuke projected an intense resolve. He wants to prove himself, even if that mark's tearing him up inside. Sasuke vs. Yoroi. A desperate gamble. Sasuke descended the stairs to the arena floor, eyes fixed on a tall, dark-haired ninja with tinted goggles. Yoroi. They squared off. From the balcony, Naruto leaned over the railing, Sakura at his side. He noticed how the band of the curse mark began to prickle around Sasuke's neck. Hayate raised his hand. Begin. Yoroi lunged first, trying to grip Sasuke's arm. Chakra absorption jutsu, Naruto recalled from earlier rumors. If Yoroi made contact, Sasuke's strength would drain away. But Sasuke pivoted gracefully, hurling a kunai that Yoroi sidestepped. For a few beats, they tested each other's reflexes slash, parry, dodge until Yoroi managed to brush Sasuke's shoulder. Energy flared. Sasuke hissed in pain, feeling his chakra siphon. The curse mark pulsed in response, black lines itching to spread. Up in the stands, Kakashi's brow creased. Stay in control, Sasuke. Sasuke leapt back, panting. Damn, he flexed his hands, feeling drained. Yoroi smirked beneath his face wrap, confident now. In that moment, Sasuke's eyes flickered with the half-formed Sharingan. A swirl of red ignited in his irises. He grimaced, fighting the curse mark's temptation to unleash raw power. Instead, he forced himself to recall a move Naruto's trademark lion combo. Or rather, the same taijutsu sequence Sasuke glimpsed from Rock Lee. He seized on the memory. Sasuke blurred forward, feinting a punch that forced Yoroi to raise his guard. Then Sasuke ducked low, sweeping Yoroi's legs. Mid-fall, Sasuke latched onto Yoroi's torso, flipping him violently in midair. Crash! They slammed into the arena floor. A gasp rippled through the onlookers. The impact knocked the air from Yoroi's lungs. He lay there, dazed. Sasuke, chest heaving, pressed a kunai to Yoroi's throat. Hayate stepped in. Winner Sasuke Uchiha. Relief flooded Naruto. Sakura exhaled a shaky breath. Sasuke stood, swaying slightly from the strain. His curse mark throbbed like a vile brand. Before he could collapse, Kakashi appeared beside him. Good job, Kakashi muttered, guiding Sasuke off the arena. Now, let's handle that mark. Quote, in a swirl of movement, they vanished from the tower corridor, presumably so Kakashi could seal away the curse mark's influence. Naruto balcony observations. Naruto watched them go, unsettled. He placed a hand over his own shoulder, where Orochimaru had branded him. Ever since that moment, a subtle ache burned beneath his skin like two beasts fighting for dominance. His Muzan blood refused to submit to Orochimaru's curse, but the conflict left him drained. Sakura's soft voice snapped him back. Naruto, are you okay? He forced a grin. Yeah, I'm fine. She studied him. Worry etched in her eyes, but nodded. Then her gaze drifted to the scoreboard as the next match lit up. Zaku Abumi vs. Shino Aburame. The fights proceeded in a blur. Zaku's sonic blasts ended up countered by Shino's insects. Shino emerged victorious, calmly walking away with minimal words. Next, Sakura Haruno vs. Ino Yamanaka. Sakura vs. Ino, a rivalry revisited. Naruto's breath caught. He'd known this match might come, but seeing the two face off stirred complicated feelings. The tension between them both as rivals in ninjutsu and in affection for Sasuke in canon, but no. Also complicated by Naruto's changing dynamic was palpable. They stepped into the arena. Ino flicked her ponytail back with bravado. Sakura clenched her fists, determined not to be overshadowed. Hayate's signal. Begin. Immediately, they engaged in close-range combat, surprising many who expected them to rely on basic genjutsu or trick tactics. Sakura showcased improved taijutsu thanks to her recent training, blocking Ino's strikes with sharper reflexes than before. Ino retaliated with nimble footwork, launching a sweeping kick that nearly knocked Sakura off her feet. At the balcony rail, Naruto watched keenly. They've both come a long way, he murmured. Beside him, Hinata, who had joined to watch after her own upcoming match, nodded softly. Sakura-san's taijutsu, it's impressive. The fight escalated. Ino unleashed her mind transfer jutsu. Sakura, remembering Ino's signature technique, dodged the initial attempt by diving behind a chunk of fallen debris. Ino smirked, shifting her approach. Mind transfer jutsu, she called again, forcing Sakura to choose between staying behind cover or braving open ground. Sakura made a bold move, shadow clones. She formed 3 illusory duplicates to distract Ino. Only Naruto recognized them as partial illusions rather than full Kage Bunshin, a sly trick gleaned from Kakashi's pointers on misdirection. Ino's mind wave latched onto one clone, but it vanished. Leaving her momentarily disoriented, Sakura seized the opening, slamming a fist into Ino's midsection. Ino coughed, staggering back. A hush fell as both girls panted, bruised and battered. Then, with a determined glare, they lunged at each other one last time. Their fists connected simultaneously in a resounding crack, knocking them both down. Dust settled. Ino struggled to push herself up, arms trembling. Sakura mirrored her effort, yet both collapsed, unconscious from exhaustion. Hayate paused, assessing. Double knockout, he declared, glancing at the proctors. Neither competitor can continue. Both are out. Quote. Murmurs swept the audience. Naruto exhaled, relief and disappointment mingling. At least they gave it their all, no regrets. Medic Nin rushed to carry them off for treatment. Naruto silently vowed to check on both later, especially Ino, whose spirited challenge still played in his mind. Further matches, blood and thunder. The preliminaries rolled on, each match brimming with tension. Naruto paid extra attention to notable fights. Temari effortlessly defeated Tenten, swirling wind scythes that battered Tenten's weapons aside. Shikamaru pulled off a cunning victory over Kin, using shadow possession to force her into an unwinnable position. Rock Lee vs. Gaara riveted everyone. Lee's blazing speed collided with Gaara's sand defense. Naruto watched with wide eyes, admiring Lee's fierce dedication. But Gaara's sand ultimately crushed Lee's left arm and leg. A chilling hush spread as Lee fell unconscious, Gaara's calm face betraying no remorse. Naruto's fists tightened. This Gaara, there's something monstrous about him, akin to Naruto's own demon side. Finally, the board flickered to the next pairing. Naruto Uzumaki vs. Kiba Inuzuka. Kiba, perched with Akamaru on his shoulder, let out an eager whoop. Hell yeah, time to show you who's boss, Naruto. Naruto smirked. Bring it. Naruto vs. Kiba unveiling a new edge. As they stepped onto the arena floor, the crowd murmured with curiosity. Naruto's performance in the Forest of Death was rumored to be extraordinary, though no one quite knew the details. Kiba, confident in his clan's heightened senses, seemed ready to pounce. Akamaru barked, tail wagging in excitement. Kiba flicked a pill to the small dog, who transformed into a white-furred copy of Kiba. They launched the fang over fang attack, twin spinning drills of claw and fang tearing across the floor. Naruto took a steady breath. His demon blood stirred, urging him to retaliate with savage force. Instead, he went for a more measured approach. He formed a handful of shadow clones, which scattered. Two clones confronted Kiba head-on, forcing Kiba to swerve. Another pair targeted Akamaru's flank. At the last instant, Naruto stepped in, weaving swiftly through the chaos. Kiba roared, smashing through clones in a flurry of claws. A smirk spread across his face until Naruto's real form emerged behind him, palm striking Kiba's back with jarring force. Kiba gasped, stumbling. He's gotten faster, Kiba realized, whirling to slash, but Naruto ducked, hooking a leg around Kiba's ankle and sending him toppling. While Kiba tried to recover, Naruto's gaze flitted to Akamaru. The dog lunged at his side. Naruto knocked it away gently rather than brutalizing the pup, a sign of restraint that surprised some onlookers. Sorry, buddy, Naruto murmured to Akamaru. But this is between me and Kiba. Kiba snarled, you think you're better than me now. He dashed in, fangs bared, but Naruto sidestepped with inhuman grace. The demon side within him howled for more blood, yet Naruto kept it leashed. In one swift motion, Naruto clenched his hand, summoning a swirling vortex of chakra in his palm, a half-formed Rasengan. He'd been experimenting with it, courtesy of glimpses he'd gleaned from old scrolls and his own demonic efficiency in shaping chakra. He drove the swirling orb into Kiba's chest, ensuring it wasn't at full lethal power. Boom! Kiba flew backward, crashing into the wall. A cloud of dust rose. Hayate raised an arm. Kiba Inuzuka is unable to continue. Winner Naruto Uzumaki. A wave of whispers spread among the watchers. Naruto let the partial Rasengan fade, panting from the effort. He walked over to Kiba, kneeling to check if he was badly hurt. Kiba groaned, glaring through half-lidded eyes. You jerk, he mumbled. Though there was a hint of grudging respect. Naruto smirked, offering a hand. You'll be fine, dog breath. Kiba accepted the help up. Next time, I won't lose so easily. Naruto only nodded, stepping away. The demon in his veins thrummed, momentarily appeased. Clash of rivals and the end of prelims. After Naruto's victory, a few more matches wrapped up. Hinata vs. Neji turned brutal, with Neji mercilessly dissecting her chakra network. Hinata collapsed, though her courage stood out. Naruto felt rage boiling at Neji's cruelty but was held back by the proctors. This fight isn't yours right now, they warned. Eventually, only a handful of genin remained, those who triumphed in their preliminary matches. Gaara, Temari, Kankuro from the sand, Neji, Shikamaru, Naruto, Sasuke assuming he recovers and a couple of others. Hayate coughed, addressing the finalists. You will have 1 month to prepare for the final round. Train, rest, whatever you need. The bracket is set. He revealed the matchups for the final bracket. 1. Naruto Uzumaki vs. Neji Hyuga. 2. Sasuke Uchiha vs. Gaara. 3. Shino Aburame vs. Kankuro. 4. Temari vs. Shikamaru Nara. Winners would advance to the next stage. Naruto stared at Neji across the chamber. A flicker of anger in his eyes. I'll make him pay for hurting Hinata like that. Post-prelims tension in the corridors. With the prelims concluded, Mednin escorted the injured away. Naruto caught sight of Ino walking slowly, supported by a concerned Shikamaru. She'd regained consciousness but looked pale. Without hesitation, Naruto approached Ino. His voice was gentle. She looked up, surprise flashing on her face. Naruto, how are you feeling? Her cheeks colored faintly, perhaps recalling how she'd lost consciousness in her fight with Sakura. I'll live, just exhausted. Shikamaru gave Naruto a sly, knowing look, then stepped a few paces away, leaving them a modicum of privacy. Naruto scratched the back of his neck, ignoring the subtle twinge of the curse mark. That was a good fight. You really pushed Sakura to her limit. Ino's lips quirked. We're both equally stubborn, but I guess, we just weren't strong enough to get through the next stage. AF. Liquor of disappointment crossed her gaze. Naruto leaned in slightly, voice low. Don't beat yourself up. You've got a lot of potential, and you gave it everything. This exam won't be the last. Her eyes softened. You really think so? He flashed a confident grin. I know so. Keep training, Ino. She swallowed, seeming moved by the sincerity in his tone. Then, on an impulse, she stood on her tipped toes and brushed a quick kiss against his cheek. Better win your matches, or I'll never forgive you, she said, voice shaky yet determined. Naruto blinked, heat rushing to his face. Did she just? Ino turned away with a half smile. Don't you dare lose to some stuck-up Hyuga. You got that, Naruto. A surge of warmth coursed through him. He touched where her lips grazed his cheek, an echo of her presence lingering. Yeah, I promise. Shikamaru, returning, rolled his eyes. Come on, Ino, let's get you to the hospital. Troublesome people. Ino shot Naruto one last glance before departing. Despite his weariness, Naruto felt a flicker of exhilaration. A kiss light and fleeting, but enough to stir the swirling emotions he'd been juggling since the academy. Pav Sakura Hospital Wing. Sakura awoke in a quiet hospital room. White curtains framing the late afternoon sun. Her body felt heavy, bruised from her match with Ino. She groaned, blinking at the IV drip in her arm. Finally awake, a tired voice said. Sakura turned her head to see Sasuke standing near the doorway, arms crossed. He wore fresh bandages on his shoulder, and a faint bruise shadowed his jaw. Sasuke, she said groggily, what are you doing here? He glanced away, checking on you. A gentle warmth flickered in Sakura's chest. You should be resting. That mark. He shook his head. Kakashi sealed it for now. It's under control. His voice was distant, haunted. She mustered a weak smile. I'm glad. Silence lingered. Sakura felt an uncomfortable pang, recalling how close Sasuke and Naruto came to being consumed by Orochimaru's power. The thought made her heart twist. I need to get stronger, she resolved. I can't just stand by while they risk everything. Finally, Sasuke sighed. Naruto won his match. Kiba didn't stand a chance. Sakura snorted softly. That idiot's always surprising us. Good for him. A hint of admiration colored her tone, which Sasuke didn't miss. He shrugged, turning to leave. We have a month until the finals. Don't slack off. Quote. She closed her eyes as his footsteps faded. A swirl of memories from the forest of death haunted her. Orochimaru's horrifying grin, Naruto's demonic aura, Sasuke's torment. Next time, she vowed, I'll be ready to help. Naruto's resolve. Moonlit rooftop. Night had fallen over Konoha. Naruto, exhausted from the day's battles, slipped away from the bustling Exa M Tower to find solitude on a small rooftop. The moon hung high, bathing the tiles in silver. He stared at the city's lights, mind churning with thoughts of Orochimaru, the curse mark, and the demon blood inside him. The memory of Ino's light kiss still made his heart race, a pleasant distraction from the turmoil. But the looming presence of his next match Neji Hyuga pulled him back to darker worries. He hurt Hinata. He claims fate cannot be changed. Naruto clenched his fists. I'll prove him wrong. A quiet footstep behind him. Naruto turned to see Hinata, hands folded shyly. She wore a light robe, as if she'd come from the hospital's aftercare. Naruto-kun, she said softly. I saw you come this way. He offered a small smile. Hinata, how's your wound? She glanced down. Better, thanks to medical treatment. The doctors say I should rest. Naruto nodded, noticing the faint lines of fatigue under her eyes. She was too gentle for this brutal shinobi world sometimes. Yet there was a quiet strength in her too. I wanted to say, thank you, Hinata continued, voice trembling. You stood up for me when Neji. He shook his head. Neji's your cousin. I don't get all the Hyuga politics, but he crossed a line. She looked away, tears threatening. I wanted to be strong enough to face him, but... Naruto placed a hand on her shoulder. Don't beat yourself up. You're not weak. You have a good heart. She blushed deeply, glancing at his hand, then up at him. A swirl of emotions flitted across her gaze: admiration, longing, shame for her perceived weakness. He softened his tone. Next time, we'll show him. I'm fighting him in the finals. I'll beat him for both of us. She exhaled shakily, tears gathering at the corners of her eyes. Naruto-kun, thank you. I believe in you. Impulsively, Naruto leaned down, pressing a gentle kiss to her forehead, a comforting gesture. She froze, face turning crimson. Rest, he whispered, stepping back. Get stronger in your own way. Then we can spar anytime you want. She looked up, cheery but smiling, her heart practically thundering in her chest. Oh okay. Hinata disappeared into the night, leaving Naruto alone under the moon. He rubbed the back of his neck, feeling a hint of guilt for indulging in such affectionate gestures with more than one girl. Yet, each connection felt genuine in different ways. Sakura, Ino, Hinata, all were important to him. He closed his eyes, steeling himself. First, I must handle Neji. Then, whatever else the exam and Orochimaru throws at me. 1 month interval training commences. Over the next few days, rumor spread that Kakashi had whisked Sasuke away for specialized training. Many believed it was to harness the Sharingan and subdue the curse mark. Meanwhile, the Leaf Village bustled with preparations for the final round. Foreign dignitaries and potential clients would attend, making the finals a grand spectacle. Naruto found himself restless. Without Kakashi's guidance, he needed a new mentor or a new approach. He recalled glimpses of that swirling sphere of chakra he'd formed against Kiba, akin to an incomplete Rasengan. If he could perfect it, he'd have a powerful weapon to face Neji's gentle fist. Naruto scouting for a teacher. He tried pestering some of the other Jonin, but each had their own teams or duties. Kurenai was busy with Kiba and Hinata, Asuma with Shikamaru and Ino's recovery. Guy was focusing on Lee's condition. Frustrated, Naruto roamed the village outskirts until he encountered a toad summoning, white-haired man snooping around the hot springs. Jiraiya, the toad sage. At first, Naruto found Jiraiya's antics suspicious, peeping on women in the bathhouse. But after some comedic scuffles, Naruto realized the man was a legendary Sannin. Please, train me, Naruto insisted, ignoring Jiraiya's attempt to brush him off. I need to get stronger, to control my chakra better, especially since I have complicated chakra. Jiraiya arched a brow. You're the Nine-Tails brat, right? I guess I have time to fix your seal if it's messing up. Naruto tensed. He knows about the Nine-Tails. But does he sense the other demon blood? Regardless, Jiraiya eventually relented. Fine, I'll see what I can do. In exchange, you treat me to a meal or two. Got it. Naruto rolled his eyes. Deal. Unraveling Naruto's seals, they met at a secluded training field near a winding river. Jiraiya forced Naruto to meditate, channeling chakra to the seal on his abdomen. A swirl of complex markings glowed faintly. Jiraiya frowned. The fourth Hokage's seal is solid, but there's some tampering. Looks like Orochimaru messed with it. That might explain some of your issues controlling the fox's chakra. Naruto clenched his jaw. He also branded me with a second seal, or tried to. But it's fighting with something in my blood. Jiraiya gave him a sharp look. Something else in your blood. Another demon presence. A pang of alarm shot through Naruto. He hadn't meant to reveal that much. But before he could respond, Jiraiya sighed. Kid, whatever it is, we might not be able to fix it overnight. Let's just get you stable enough to fight in the finals. Naruto exhaled. All right, what do I do? Jiraiya grinned. We start with summoning. Summoning and Rasengan intensive drills. Days blurred as Jiraiya pushed Naruto through punishing exercises. First, learning the summoning jutsu. Channeling chakra to sign a blood contract with the toads. Naruto struggled, often ending up with comically small toads or half-formed summons. The demon blood inside him occasionally caused surges of chakra, sending the technique off balance. Between attempts, Jiraiya also guided Naruto toward refining that swirling sphere of chakra, the Rasengan. He demonstrated how the fourth Hokage shaped chakra into a contained, rotating sphere. Naruto gritted his teeth, sweat dripping as he tried to swirl his chakra in a balloon, then a rubber ball, eventually aiming for the real thing. Each success was fleeting, but his progress outpaced a normal student, perhaps thanks to the monstrous reserves he possessed. But at night, the curse mark Orochimaru left would flare, colliding with the Muzan demon essence. Naruto often woke in a cold sweat, chest tight as if battling a silent war within. He told no one, pushing onward. A chance encounter Ino's concern. Halfway through the month, Naruto took a break from training to visit the market district. He needed food and a mental reset. By chance, he ran into Ino outside a small cafe, where she was carrying a bag of groceries for her family's flower shop. She brightened upon seeing him. Naruto, you look exhausted. He gave a tired grin, noticing how her bruises from the prelims had faded. Jiraiya's training is insane, but it's good progress. How's your recovery? She shrugged, stepping aside to let a passerby through. I'm fine, just frustrated that I lost. Dad's been making me focus on our clan jutsu, but I keep thinking about your fights. You were so fearless. Naruto chuckled. I was terrified, trust me. But I can't back down, not after everything that's happened. Ino watched him carefully, then set her groceries down. Hey, want to walk around a bit? You look like you could use a break from all the ninja stuff. He hesitated. Training was urgent, but her soft expression made him relent. Sure, but not too long. I have to get back soon. They strolled through the quieter side streets, conversation flowing easily. Ino teased him about his messy hair. He retorted by poking fun at her dramatic flair. Yet beneath the banter, a warmth lingered from the kiss she'd given him after the prelims. Eventually, they paused by a small, tucked-away garden behind the flower shop. Ino beckoned him to follow, unlocking a gate. Vines and blossoms covered a wooden trellis, the air rich with fragrance. She led him to a bench near a cluster of lavender. My secret sanctuary, she said with a proud smile. Naruto sat, inhaling the calming scent. Niece, peaceful here. She joined him, carefully placing the groceries aside. They lapsed into companionable silence, broken when Ino turned, brushing a strand of hair from her face. So, I've been thinking about that day, after the prelims. Naruto's heart sped up. Yeah, a slight blush touched her cheeks. Look, I'm not sure what's happening, but she paused, struggling to articulate. You've changed so much from the loudmouth at the academy. And I kinda like it. He exhaled, a small smirk forming. Guess I grew up a bit. Ino's gaze flickered with uncertainty. Are you really into me? Or is this just you being a flirt? Naruto blinked. He recalled his moments with Sakura, the gentle kiss to Hinata's forehead, the swirl of complicated emotions. He wasn't really sure how to handle this new dynamic either. But something about Ino's boldness drew him in. I won't lie, he said quietly. I care about you. But my life is complicated. She pressed a finger to his lips, halting him. I know. You're aiming to be Hokage. You have weird demon chakra stuff, plus the next exam round. I'm not asking for the world. Just don't shut me out. He placed a hand over hers, heart pounding. I won't. For a moment, they lingered close. Ino's breath hitched. Then she leaned forward, pressing her lips softly to his. Unlike the quick peck before, this kiss was lingering, edged with a gentle hunger. Naruto's mind spun, warmth pooling in his chest. After a breathless moment, they broke apart. A shy smile tugged at Ino's lips. Now you have even more reason not to lose in the finals. He chuckled, brushing his thumb across her cheek. Yeah, that's some motivation. The sound of a distant clock tower chiming broke the moment. Naruto sighed, remembering Jiraiya's deadline. I have to get back. Ino nodded, eyes shining with emotion. Go kick Neji's butt, okay. He stood, grabbing her hand for a last squeeze before stepping away. Count on it. Training finale summoning breakthrough. On the last week, Naruto's summoning attempts finally bore fruit. After repeated tries and comedic misfires, he found himself perched on the back of a massive toad Gamabunta and promptly got thrown off. But the ephemeral success of summoning the toad boss for even a few seconds proved he was close to mastery. Jiraiya grinned. Not bad, kid. Keep practicing. Naruto wiped sweat from his forehead, chest heaving. The Rasengan practice also advanced. He could now maintain a small, spinning orb of chakra for a few seconds. It wasn't perfect, but enough to deal serious damage. In rare moments of rest, Naruto's mind drifted to Ino's kiss, Hinata's shy gratitude, Sakura's unwavering support, and even the complexities with Sasuke. So much has changed, he thought. But I have to stay focused on the fight ahead. Day of the finals, the arena. At last, the day arrived. A huge circular stadium teemed with spectators, civilians, nobles, and shinobi from allied villages. Banners of different nations fluttered in the breeze. Naruto, wearing a fresh outfit of orange and black, stepped onto the field, scanning the stands. He spotted Kakashi high up, standing beside Sasuke. The Uchiha seemed composed, though a silent tension radiated from him. Sakura, still nursing bruises, waved from a spectator's area. Next to her, Ino caught Naruto's eye, offering a confident smile. A blush dusted his cheeks as he waved back. He also noticed Hinata further along, hands clasped in encouragement. Let the final round of the Chunin exams begin, boomed an announcer. Match 1: Naruto Uzumaki vs. Neji Hyuga. A roar of cheers and murmurs echoed through the stadium. Naruto strode to the center, facing Neji. The Hyuga prodigy's gaze was cool, laced with disdain. Fate has already decided the outcome, Neji said flatly. Your struggling is pointless. Naruto's eyes narrowed. Don't give me that crap. We shape our own destinies. High in the stands, the audience quieted in anticipation. Ayate, recovering from his earlier cough, stepped forth as referee. Begin. Naruto vs. Neji, the clash of wills. Neji wasted no time activating his Byakugan, veins bulging around his pale eyes. Naruto felt the tension coil in his muscles. He formed two shadow clones, testing Neji's reflexes. Neji moved like liquid lightning, striking each clone's chakra point with surgical precision, dispelling them instantly. Naruto gritted his teeth. The gentle fist was no joke. Once I close your chakra nodes, it's over, Neji declared. Naruto dashed in, feinting left before curving right, aiming a punch at Neji's ribs. Neji sidestepped, brushing Naruto's wrist. A jolt of pain shot up Naruto's arm. Gentle fist. He sprang back, wincing. I can't let him keep tagging me. Determined, Naruto weaved more clones, launching a barrage from multiple angles. Neji spun gracefully, 8 trigrams palms rotation, repelling them in a swirling dome of chakra. Clones dissolved, leaving Naruto skidding backward, stunned. In the stands, Ino clutched the railing. Sakura tensed, muttering, Naruto, don't rush him like that. Neji glared. Give up, loser. The Hyuga destiny is absolute. Naruto growled, refusing to yield. Then let me break it. He channeled a swirl of red-black energy around his fists, not the full demon power, but a fraction enough to sharpen his reflexes. Again, he charged, reading Neji's stance carefully. Impact. Their fists met in a clash of chakra. Naruto's enhanced strength forced Neji back a step, surprising him. But Neji retaliated with a punishing blow to Naruto's chest, closing more chakra points. Naruto coughed, stumbling. That's enough, Neji said, raising a palm for the finishing strike. Naruto's vision blurred, but he mustered a fierce grin. I still have one more trick. He summoned a wave of shadow clones to distract Neji for a split second and to buy time for his swirling chakra orb, the incomplete Rasengan. In a sudden burst, the clones parted, revealing Naruto with the churning ball of energy in his palm. Neji's Byakugan widened. "Take this!" Naruto roared, slamming the orb forward. Neji desperately tried to rotate, but the Rasengan swirling force collided with his gentle fist. A shockwave of chakra sent both of them hurtling apart. Crash! Dust enveloped the arena. For a tense heartbeat, silence reigned. Then, as the haze cleared, Neji was seen sprawled on the ground, one arm bent awkwardly. Eyes dazed, Naruto lay on his side, panting, but managed to stagger upright, chest heaving. Cheers erupted. Hayate hurried over, checking Neji. The Hyuga coughed, consciousness returning. But he could no longer stand. Hayate declared, "Winner Naruto Uzumaki." The stadium roared with applause. Naruto swayed, relief flooding him. He caught Ino's beaming face in the crowd, Sakura cheering wildly. Hinata's tearful smile. Even the demon presence inside him was oddly quiet, as if sated by the victory. Neji stared from his prone position, bitterness flashing. But behind it, a grudging respect flickered. Naruto knelt, offering a hand. "You're not a prisoner of fate, Neji. Change is possible." Neji swallowed, taking Naruto's hand to stand, albeit unsteadily. No words exchanged, but the tension between them shifted a seed of humility planted in Neji's heart. Epilogue of Chapter 4. Storm on the horizon. Naruto limped off the field, a swirl of medics rushing in. The next match was announced: Sasuke Uchiha vs. Gaara. But Sasuke was nowhere to be seen yet, fueling restless murmurs in the crowd. Naruto collapsed onto a bench, letting out a ragged breath. The Say mark's dull ache pulsed beneath his clothes, overshadowed by the euphoria of his triumph. He sensed something ominous in the air, a tension that extended beyond the finals. Orochimaru's threat lurked, and the demon blood within him hinted at even larger forces stirring. High in the stands, Sarutobi Hiruzen watched with a solemn expression. He sensed the mounting danger. Across the stadium, Orochimaru, disguised as the Cage, observed with a predatory grin beneath his robes. For now, the spectacle continued. But Naruto, eyes closing in exhaustion, felt the first tremors of an approaching storm, the Konoha crush and the uncertain future his demon blood would shape. Yet, in that moment, pride swelled in his chest. He'd faced Neji and Wan, forging a path by his own hands. With Sakura, Ino, Hinata, and even Sasuke, he wasn't alone in this. He was Naruto Uzumaki, demon-blooded or not, he would protect what mattered. End of Chapter 4. Chapter 5. A New Dawn. Konoha Stadium Chunin exam finals continue. Applause thundered through the stands as Naruto walked off the arena floor, favoring his injured side. His victory over Neji Hyuga reverberated among the spectators, fueling excited chatter. Many regarded Naruto with cautious admiration. He was once the demon brat, but now his strength couldn't be ignored. Sakura rushed to his side, a canteen of water in hand. "Naruto, that was incredible." She fretted over his bruises. "Are you sure you're okay?" He grimaced, every muscle on fire. "Been worse." "Don't worry." He caught her concern and felt a twist of guilt he knew Sakura fretted over. The curse mark Orochimaru placed on him. But for now, he kept his pain buried. "Gotta watch the next match," he said, nodding toward the field. Sasuke was still missing. The crowd grew restless. Gar of the sand waited at the far side of the arena, sand swirling around his gourd. Tension crackled in the air. In the stands, Ino waved at Naruto, relief shining in her eyes. He gave her a brief, tired smile. Hinata, seated a bit further, offered him a timid thumbs up. Naruto's chest warmed at these small gestures of support. Even in the midst of swirling chaos, he wasn't alone. Late arrival Sasuke vs. Gaara. Time stretched. The proctor threatened to disqualify Sasuke. Then, in a sudden flurry, Kakashi and Sasuke appeared at the arena entrance. The hush that fell over the stadium was absolute. Kakashi gave the proctor a polite nod, quickly retreating to the stands. Sasuke stepped onto the field, black outfit modified to accommodate the seal on his shoulder. His dark eyes locked on Gaara. The Sand Nin's expression was unreadable, only a faint madness flickered in his pale gaze. High above, Naruto sensed a swirl of ominous chakra. Something about Gaara's presence felt too close to the demon energy within Naruto, except twisted in a different way. Hayate, the referee, lifted an arm. Match 2 of the finals, Sasuke Uchiha vs. Gaara of the Sand. Begin. Sasuke wasted no time. He dashed forward at incredible speed, reminiscent of Rock Lee's taijutsu. Gaara's sand flew up to defend, but Sasuke anticipated it, weaving around the tendrils. A thunderous punch cracked through Gaara's sandy shell, forcing him back a step, startling the crowd. Naruto leaned over the railing. That training with Kakashi must have paid off. Even so, anxiety gnawed at him. Gaara's not going down that easily. Sand spiraled around Gaara, forming a partial cocoon. He glared at Sasuke with wide, unhinged eyes. "You will prove my existence," Gaara hissed. His aura flared, and the air grew heavy. Sasuke lunged again, forming Chidori in his hand, a high-pitched crackle of lightning. The crowd gasped as he shot forward like a lightning bolt, thrusting at Gaara's sand shield. The Chidori tore through the shell, drawing Gaara's blood for the first time in living memory. Gaara howled in rage. His sand exploded outward, sending Sasuke skidding back. A terrifying shift occurred in Gaara's chakra, like a beast waking from slumber. That was when everything changed. Konoha crushed the sudden attack. All at once, there was a swirl of movement in the cage's box. Orochimaru, disguised as the cage, revealed himself. Hidden Sound and Sand Shinobi leapt from their seats, unleashing chaos throughout the stadium. Plumes of smoke erupted, illusions spread like wildfire, and the stands erupted in panicked screams. Naruto tensed as he saw purple barriers spring up around the arena's perimeter. Leaf Shinobi scrambled to counter, but the invasion was swift and merciless. Sakura grabbed Naruto's arm, eyes wide. "What's happening, Orochimaru?" he growled, feeling the curse mark on his shoulder burn. "He's launching an attack." Above them, the third Hokage confronted Orochimaru on the rooftop of the cage box. The older man's face resolute yet lined with sorrow. The stadium became a warzone. Sound Ninja clashed with Leaf forces. In the arena itself, Gaara clutched his head, sand writhing around him. Kankuro and Temari tried to usher him away. Sasuke, fueled by vengeance, tore after them. Kakashi, from the stands, shouted to Naruto, "Go after Sasuke. Don't let Gaara fully transform." Naruto's heart pounded. He glanced at Sakura. "Stay safe. Help the others protect civilians." Sakura bit her lip. "Be careful," she whispered, hugging him tight for a split second before pulling away. He returned the squeeze, ignoring the swirl of complicated emotions. No time. Then he darted through the chaos to follow Sasuke, weaving around fallen debris and battling ninjas. Forest chased Naruto in pursuit. Gaara, with Temari and Kankuro, fled the stadium. Sasuke tailed them, single-minded. The pursuit led outside Konoha's walls, into a nearby forest. Naruto had to push his battered body to keep up. Each P jarred his injuries from the fight with Neji, but adrenaline kept him going. He glimpsed Shikamaru and Pakun, Kakashi's summoned hound, momentarily assisting with the pursuit. Shikamaru lagged behind to deal with hidden ambushers, letting Naruto press onward. Before long, Naruto arrived at a clearing. Sasuke stood panting, facing Gaara, now partially transformed, one arm turned monstrous, covered in sand shaped like a demon's claw. Temari hovered nearby, uncertain. Kankuro had stayed behind to stall pursuers. "Sasuke," Naruto barked, stepping beside him. Sasuke spared a glance. "What are you doing here?" "Not letting you fight alone," Naruto retorted, scanning Gaara's monstrous form. He felt an odd resonance. Gaara is a Jinchuriki, too. This was the power of Shukaku, the One Tail. Gaara hissed, eyes bloodshot. "You, the Uchiha, and you, Uzumaki, I'll prove my existence by killing you both." His voice grated with madness. Sasuke formed another Chidori, ignoring the burn of his curse mark. Gaara roared, flinging waves of sand. The Chidori clashed, sending shockwaves. Gaara's monstrous arm grew larger. Sasuke collapsed to one knee, curse mark throbbing, nearly out of chakra. Naruto inhaled sharply, stepping forward. "All right, Gaara, you want to see a monster? Let's see who breaks first." Naruto vs. Gaara. Demon power unleashed. Gaara's sand spiraled higher, shaping a giant half-dome, with Gaara perched at the center. Further transforming, Naruto formed shadow clones, each rushing in from different angles, but Gaara's sand battered them aside like ragdolls. A fierce wind kicked up. Sasuke tried to stand, but the curse mark flared, sending pain lancing through him. He bit back a scream. Damn, can't move. Naruto's nostrils flared. The demon blood within him roared, swirling with the Nine Tails chakra. Plus the twisted echo of Muzan's power. The combined energies hammered against Orochimaru's partially placed curse seal. He could let go, but a flicker of memory Ino's gentle kiss, Sakura's worried embrace. Hinata's shy faith, Tazuna's gratitude, he had to remain Naruto, not a mindless demon. He took a shaky breath and harnessed just enough of the demon's strength, his strength. Red-black chakra rippled around him, eyes burning with a feral glint. I won't let you hurt my friends, Naruto snarled. Gaara roared in response, friendship is a lie. Only those who kill can validate their existence. He sank into the sand, emerging as a monstrous half-Shukaku figure, towering over the clearing. Naruto's clones swarmed. Gaara smashed them aside effortlessly, each blow rattling the forest floor. Naruto himself leapt high, forming a swirling sphere, the near-complete Rasengan, and slammed it into the demon's arm. Boom! Sand exploded, but Gaara's transformation still advanced, regrowing rapidly. Desperate, Naruto tried summoning. He bit his thumb, weaving signs. Summoning jutsu. Instead of the toad boss, he got Gamakichi, a smaller toad. Naruto groaned. Not you again. Gamakichi squeaked. Hey, that's rude. Naruto jumped off the little toad's head, returning to direct combat. The swirl of demon chakra heightened his speed and strength. He battered through layers of sand, ignoring the stinging cuts. Gaara screeched, contorting, eyes rolling back as the Shukaku took shape. Climactic strike awakening the tailed beast. A shockwave rippled across the clearing. Gaara's sand shell shattered, revealing the giant raccoon form of Shukaku. An unearthly growl rattled the treetops. Sasuke's eyes widened in horror. This is a tailed beast. Naruto grit his teeth. I have to stop him from fully awakening. The Kyuubi's chakra flared deeper within, and Naruto felt the Muzan demon blood churn in response, craving the fight. The curse mark stung as it tried to latch onto that power. But Naruto forcibly repressed it, focusing on his own will. He performed the summoning jutsu again, pouring more chakra. This time, Gamabunta emerged in a burst of smoke, a colossal toad with a grumpy expression. Short sword strapped to his side. What the kid, I was having a nap. Gamabunta bellowed. Naruto pointed. No time to complain, boss. We have to stop that giant raccoon from leveling the village. Gamabunta eyed Shukaku's monstrous form. Ah, damn, another tailed beast. Let's go. Toad and raccoon collided in a cacophony of roars and slashing claws. Each impact shook the earth. Gamabunta's sword clashed against Shukaku's swirling sand. Naruto clung to Gamabunta's head, fighting to keep his balance. Meanwhile, Gaara lay at the top of the beast's head, eyes glazed, controlling Shukaku from within. If Naruto could just wake him up, that's the key. With a nod from Gamabunta, Naruto jumped, racing across Shukaku's sandy body. The beast roared, flailing giant limbs. Naruto formed a batch of clones to pin Gaara in place. Summoning every scrap of resolve, Naruto slammed a fist into Gaara's face. Snap out of it, Gaara gasped, eyes rolling. The partial Shukaku form wavered, starting to crumble. Gamabunta seized the chance, slicing a deep gash through the beast's side. Sand collapsed in a massive avalanche. Naruto and Gaara tumbled to the forest floor in a swirl of dust. Both hit the ground in a painful heap. Shared pain, Gaara's defeat. When the dust settled, Naruto lay flat, panting, every bone aching. A few meters away, Gaara struggled to rise, his transformation receding. He glared at Naruto, fear and confusion twisting his features. Why? How are you so strong? Naruto forced himself onto his elbows. Because I fight for others. I'm not alone. Gaara's eyes flickered, haunted by memories of loneliness. Alone? I was always alone, too, until I decided only my existence mattered. Naruto crawled closer, ignoring the protesting pain. That's not real strength. Real strength comes from protecting people precious to you. Gaara's lips trembled. He caught a fleeting glimpse of Naruto's battered form, the same eyes he once had. Something cracked inside him. For the first time, Gaara felt something besides hate, a pang of empathy. Before anything more could be said, Kankuro and Temari arrived, battered but determined to retrieve Gaara. They glared warily at Naruto, then lifted their weakened brother. Gaara, stunned, whispered, "I lost." Naruto could only nod, exhaustion claiming him. As the Sand siblings vanished into the trees, Sasuke stumbled over to Naruto, coughing. You actually did it." Naruto half laughed, half wheezed. "Barely. Now, Konoha, we have to go back. Return to the village Orochimaru's gambit." By the time Naruto and Sasuke limped back, the sun was dipping low. The once lively stadium was in shambles. Parts of the village bore scorch marks and collapsed buildings. Leaf shinobi patrolled, rounding up enemy remnants. Naruto spotted Sakura among the crowds, healing a wounded villager. Relief glowed in her eyes when she saw him. She rushed over, nearly knocking him over with a fierce hug. "You're alive," he groaned at the pressure on his bruises but couldn't help smiling. She guided them toward the center of the arena, where an ominous sight awaited. A massive purple barrier had once encased the top of the stadium. But now it was dissipating. At its center, on the rooftop, lay the third Hokage, motionless. Orochimaru stood nearby, panting, arms limp at his sides. A hush fell across the battlefield. Naruto's heart clenched. "Lord Hokage," he murmured, voice shaking. Sarutobi Hiruzen was gravely wounded, chest barely moving. He'd sacrificed himself to seal Orochimaru's arms with the Reaper Death Seal, robbing Orochimaru of the full use of ninjutsu. Orochimaru hissed in frustration, retreating as sound ninjas whisked him away. The Sannin spared Naruto a final glare of twisted interest before vanishing in a swirl of movement. Naruto wanted to chase him, but his legs refused to move. He knelt beside the third's side, tears stinging. "Old man." "No." The third coughed, eyes fluttering open to gaze at Naruto. A faint smile lifted his lips. "You've grown strong, Naruto." His voice was barely a whisper. "Protect the village. Believe in the next generation." Naruto's vision blurred as Sarutobi's eyes closed for the last time. Sakura choked back sobs. Sasuke stared in shock, and around them, Leaf Shinobi bowed their heads in silent grief. In that moment, Naruto felt the demon inside him rage, howling for revenge. But he realized this as reality. Even the most powerful could fall. He clenched his fists. "I'll carry on," he vowed silently. Aftermath of village mourns. Days passed. The Yaj prepared a funeral for the third Hokage. Black funeral cloth draped the streets, and a solemn procession of shinobi, citizens, and visiting allies gathered to pay respects. Rain drizzled softly, as if the skies wept for Sarutobi's passing. Naruto, clad in a dark robe, stood amid the mourners. He spotted Ino and Sakura, tears streaking their cheeks. Hinata clutched her coat, trembling. Shikamaru, normally lazy and carefree, wore a grim look. Sasuke hovered near the back, arms folded, face impassive yet sorrow burned in his gaze. At the memorial site, speeches were given. Even the feudal lord of Fire Country attended, praising Sarutobi's sacrifice. Tsunami from the land of waves had sent flowers, as had many who once received Konoha's help. Naruto's chest tightened. He remembered the third's gentle smile. How he'd protected Naruto all those years, harboring suspicions yet never abandoning him. The demon blood within Naruto simmered, but he forced it to remain silent, out of respect. Quiet resolved the next morning. When the funeral concluded, Naruto retreated to a secluded memorial stone outside the Hokage monument. He stared at the carved names of fallen shinobi. The new name, Sarutobi Hiruzen, stood out in bold relief. A soft footstep behind him. Ino approached, hesitating. "Naruto." He didn't turn, gaze fixed on the stone. "Hey." She studied him, uncertain how to comfort him. "I know how much he meant to you." Quote. Naruto exhaled, voice subdued. "Yeah, the old man gave me a chance when most of the village wanted to shut me out. Even though he suspected I had something more than the 9 tails." He clenched his jaw, fighting a swirl of grief and anger. Ino placed a gentle hand on his back. "He believed in you." They stood in silence. Then Naruto turned, pulling her into an embrace. She stiffened, then relaxed, hugging him back. "Thanks," he murmured, voice thick. I won't let the third's legacy die with him. I promise." Ino's voice was soft against his shoulder. "You'll carry it on, Naruto. Sasuke's departure unsettled rivalries. Over the next few days, repairs across Konoha began, but the atmosphere remained tense. Orochimaru's infiltration had left deep scars. Whispers of future threats buzzed among the higher-ups. Meanwhile, Sasuke grew more distant. He had tasted the curse mark's power and had come face to face with his own limitations. Naruto's demon-charged feats only fueled Sasuke's resentment. One late afternoon, Naruto found Sasuke by the training grounds. The Uchiha practiced relentlessly, ignoring the agony in his cursed shoulder. "Sasuke," Naruto said cautiously, "you'll rip your arm off at this rate." Sasuke's eyes flashed. "Shut up, I won't fall behind you. Or that snake freak. I need more power." He hurled a kunai in frustration. "If you can handle monstrous chakra, why can't I master the power of this seal?" Naruto tensed, remembering the danger of letting Orochimaru's brand run unchecked. "That seal will consume you. Don't let your obsession blind you." Sasuke scoffed, bitterness twisting his mouth. "Easy for you to say. You have whatever demon blood you carry plus the 9 tails. You're special. I'm just an avenger, with no means to accomplish my goal if I stay here." Naruto's heart sank. "What are you talking about?" Sasuke just shook his head, turning away. "It doesn't matter. Not yet." Then he vanished into the gathering dusk. A growing unease gnawed at Naruto. "Sasuke, don't do anything reckless." A visitor in the night knew threats loom. As the village reeled, an unseen figure moved through the outskirts. Clad in black cloaks with red clouds, the Akatsuki. Rumors circulated that 2 S-rank criminals had been spotted near the Fire Country border. Their target the Jinchuriki. Late one night, Naruto sensed something amiss. He snapped awake in his small apartment, demon instincts on alert. A shadowy presence flickered outside his window, then vanished. By the time Naruto rushed to investigate, it was gone. Only a lingering chill told him someone had been there. He frowned at the deserted street below. "They were hunting me." That sense of dread, overshadowing even Orochimaru's threat, pressed on his chest. The demon blood inside him bristled, as if threatened by a predator. Glimmer of hope: Tsunade's return. Amid the turmoil, word spread that Jiraiya, the Toad Sage, had left to seek out the legendary medic Nin, Tsunade. As a potential 5th Hokage, the village needed a leader. The news offered a flicker of hope. If Tsunade returned, maybe she could stabilize Konoha and address Naruto's unique demonic curse. Naruto, restless, threw himself into more training. Summoning practice, Rasengan drills, plus attempts to refine his demonic control. Ino occasionally joined him, though she mostly watched with awe at the scale of his chakra. Sakura refocused on her own growth, spurred by the tragedy. Sasuke, however, was rarely seen. One final farewell remembrance. Weeks passed. Repairs in Konoha advanced. The Sand Village allied once more, claiming they'd been manipulated by Orochimaru. Gaara's personal apology to Naruto was brief but heartfelt, forging a fragile bond between 2 once isolated Jinchuriki. On the day before Jiraiya's scheduled departure, the village held a small memorial for the fallen, placing fresh flowers at the 3rd Hokage's monument. Naruto stood at the periphery, arms folded. He thought of Haku and Zabuza, of the old man Hokage, of everyone he couldn't save. "But I'll keep getting stronger," he vowed. Beside him, Ino slipped her hand into his. Sakura, a short distance away, glanced over. Her expression a swirl of emotions: lingering affection, confusion, acceptance. Hinata, too, quietly looked on. Each of these bonds anchored him. Finally, Naruto turned, gaze sweeping over the village. A new chapter was about to begin. He sensed more trials looming: Sasuke's unresolved fury, the Akatsuki's lurking threat, Orochimaru's next move. Yet he also carried inside him a fierce determination and the echoes of 2 demon powers he refused to let define him. Epilogue: A New Dawn. Morning sunlight painted the Hokage monument, glimmering across the faces of past leaders. Naruto, feeling the warmth on his skin, inhaled deeply. He remembered Sarutobi's last words: protect the village, believe in the next generation. He wouldn't back down. The demon inside him: Muzan's accursed blood. The 9 tails would be harnessed for a higher purpose. He'd honor the 3rd sacrifice, forging a path where no one had to endure loneliness or scorn as he once did. Standing on a high rooftop, Naruto gazed across the rooftops of Konoha. In the distance, he spotted Ino helping her father at the flower shop, Sakura assisting the Mednin, Hinata training with Kurenai, and Sasuke somewhere out there, wrestling with his own darkness. Each person, precious in a unique way. He closed his eyes, letting the wind stir his hair. Even if I carry demon blood, I'll remain Naruto Uzumaki. With a final breath, he steeled himself for what lay ahead, another journey with Jiraiya to find Tsunade, more battles, more mysteries. But none of that daunted him. Because here, in the Hidden Leaf, he had friends, rivals, people he wanted to protect. And that was enough to keep him grounded in his own humanity, no matter how monstrous his power became. With that resolve, Naruto leapt from the rooftop, racing forward into the bright new day, a demon-blooded shinobi determined to reshape the shinobi world in his own unbreakable way. End of Chapter 5. To be continued.